2025 has concluded. We would like to thank all the participating teams and the players who delivered top performances over the past year. It's probably time to discuss the plans for next year. This video will share much about the new format, the new ecosystem, and other surprises. In short, welcome to a more professional, mature, and exciting Marvel Rivals Ignite 2026, the inaugural league year of Marvel Rivals. To better balance each region and present more exciting competition, we've made adjustments to the regional distribution for the Professional League in 2026. Specifically, we are merging the Asia and Oceania regions into a single Pacific region. The regions for 2026 will be Americas, EMEA, China, and Pacific. During the group stage, the Asia and Oceania regions will compete independently and face off in the playoff stage. In 2026, there will be 2 regular seasons and 2 international LAN events. A notable addition this year is the preseason before the start of Stage 1. The preseason is not only the debut for these teams, but will also determine the initial seed placements. Additionally, Marvel Rivals Championship will continue to exist throughout this period. Even more exciting changes include the allocation of league spots and promotions. In the 4 regions, online competitions will determine the teams that qualify for the 2 international events. We eagerly anticipate seeing these competitive teams once again. Starting in 2026, in addition to the preseason, the Regional League and Mid-Season Finals, hosted by Marvel Rivals Ignite, will determine whether teams qualified for the Grand Finals. The final results from Stage 1, the Mid-Season Finals, and Stage 2 will correspond to varying league points allocation. Teams that excel in Stage 2 playoffs or rank highly in the annual league leaderboard will compete for a spot in the Grand Finals. At the same time, to enhance the competitiveness and accessibility of the league, we are introducing a promotion and relegation system that provides all aspiring teams and players around the world with the opportunity to enter the professional league. Teams can earn champion points through the MRC, enabling them to compete fairly for league spots against the low-ranked league teams. Partner clubs will have limited relegation protection opportunities. Speaking of the MRC, there will be 6 seasons next year. The PC region in Season 6 of the MRC will be the final opportunity to compete for the last spots in each region for 2026 preseason and Stage 1. If your region still has available slots, be sure not to miss out. Starting from Season 7 of the MRC, ongoing participation will enable your team to earn champion points, and the teams with the highest cumulative points will have the opportunity to compete for qualifications for the mid-season and end-of-year promotion leagues. Certainly, the most significant surprise is that in 2026, we will launch a Partner Teams program. With certain teams worldwide to become our partners, we will create partner team bundles, and partner teams will enjoy revenue sharing. We hope that this initiative will encourage comprehensive and healthy development of Marvel Rivals esports ecosystem. Besides the partner team bundles, esport bundles will be launched in a timely manner. At the same time, the annual prize pool will exceed $3 million. Let's see how much you can win. More competitions, more moments of victory. There is so much to look forward to next year. The Ignite events of 2025 were unforgettable, and we can't wait to embark on a new journey with everyone.
Hold still, I'm trying to help.
Lights out. Let's pop back up under their noses. Us against the world!
My time to shine.
beholds the god of thunder!
You know what to do, spiders? Time for some fireworks. It's spider time!
Done, dude. Oh, thought you had me. Happy holidays!
On the hunt. Let the devil out!
You couldn't be saved.
"2025 has concluded. We would like to thank all the participating teams and the players who delivered top performances over the past year. It's probably time to discuss the plans for next year. This video will share much about the new format, the new ecosystem, and other surprises. In short, welcome to a more professional, mature, and exciting Marvel Rivals Ignite 2026, the inaugural league year of Marvel Rivals. To better balance each region and present more exciting competition, we've made adjustments to the regional distribution for the Professional League in 2026. Specifically, we are merging the Asia and Oceania regions into a single Pacific region. The regions for 2026 will be Americas, EMEA, China, and Pacific. During the group stage, the Asia and Oceania regions will compete independently and face off in the playoff stage. In 2026, there will be 2 regular seasons and 2 international LAN events. A notable addition this year is the preseason before the start of Stage 1. The preseason is not only the debut for these teams, but will also determine the initial seed placements. Additionally, Marvel Rivals Championship will continue to exist throughout this period. Even more exciting changes include the allocation of league spots and promotions. In the 4 regions, online competitions will determine the teams that qualify for the 2 international events. We eagerly anticipate seeing these competitive teams once again. Starting in 2026, in addition to the preseason, the Regional League and mid-season finals hosted by Marvel Rivals Ignite will determine whether teams qualify for the Grand Finals. The final results from Stage 1, the mid-season finals, and Stage 2 will correspond to varying league points allocation. Teams that excel in Stage 2 playoffs or rank highly in the annual league leaderboard will compete for a spot in the Grand Finals. At the same time, to enhance the competitiveness and accessibility of the league, we are introducing a promotion and relegation system that provides all aspiring teams and players around the world with the opportunity to enter the professional league. Teams can earn champion points through the MRC, enabling them to compete fairly for league spots against the low-ranked league teams. Partner clubs will have limited relegation protection opportunities. Speaking of the MRC, there will be 6 seasons next year. The PC region in Season 6 of the MRC will be the final opportunity to compete for the last spots in each region for 2026 preseason and Stage 1. If your region still has available slots, be sure not to miss out. Starting from Season 7 of the MRC, ongoing participation will enable your team to earn champion points, and the teams with the highest cumulative points will have the opportunity to compete for qualifications for the mid-season and end-of-year promotion leagues. Certainly, the most significant surprise is that in 2026, we will launch a Partner Teams program. With certain teams worldwide to become our partners, we will create partner team bundles, and partner teams will enjoy revenue sharing. We hope that this initiative will encourage comprehensive and healthy development of Marvel Rivals esports ecosystem. Besides the partner team bundles, esport bundles will be launched in a timely manner. At the same time, the annual prize pool will exceed $3 million. Let's see how much you can win. More competitions, more moments of victory. There is so much to look forward to next year. The Ignite events of 2025 were unforgettable, and we can't wait to embark on a new journey with everyone.
Hold still, I'm trying to help.
Lights out. Let's pop back up under their noses. Us against the world!
My time to shine.
Beholds the God of Thunder!
You know what to do, spiders? Time for some fireworks.
Hello and welcome back to the action for Marvel Rivals Championship for Season 5, Season 6. I've completely lost count of what year or month we're in because it's the holiday season, or at least it's about to end tomorrow when people start going back to work. But we have not really got any further in this tournament. We still have a couple more weeks left to go, but at least, Moxie, we get a good chance to see some of the upper bracket games and also a few best of fives now.
Yes, Season 5 continues, which means that we have both the 5.0 buffs as well as the 5.5 buffs to be able to contend with when we have a look at the meta. So no surprises that Loki, Gambit, and Phoenix, as well as Invis Women, have all been must picks or must bans. As, like you said, we're still in the Season 5 season. Season 6 is coming real soon. Don't worry, guys. January 16th, I believe, is when Deadpool will be making his debut. As we're all waiting to see what exactly his role is going to be. But right now, we're waiting to see which of these teams in EMEA is going to be able to walk away top dog, as we've got some very familiar faces, but we also have some new fresh talent that is trying to prove themselves as they head into that Ignite 2026 series.
Yeah, we're looking now at the best of fives now that we get into it. Sometimes when we've done MRCs, we've kind of just done the last 2 days, the last weekend of action. But here, because we have got all of the teams available, there's no Ignite teams that aren't able to participate in this one. And you also have, unfortunately, missing Virtus Pro, but it makes it a lot more interesting because it's a lot more open for teams like Chopped, who came second in the last MRC, to potentially get the top spot, or Navi, who didn't participate in an MRC, I think pretty much throughout the whole Ignite season. Well, they might actually come back and be able to crown themselves winner whilst Virtus Pro aren't here, so they don't finish second place. But there's so many other teams, so many roster moves. You've got like the Insomnia Core mostly staying together from 2025. You've got a lot of different pickup teams which want to try and sort of copy the same success that Chopped managed, going from a really good MRC performance to narrowly missing out on qualifying for the grand finals. It's just getting into the swing of things, especially when we've got Ignite on the horizon starting in April.
Yeah, and I mean, it's getting into the swing of the MLC ban structure as well, because with Ignite, those bans, they're one-sided, so you can potentially stack the ban draft to be able to get away with a composition that is better than your opponent's. In MLC, bans are a little bit different, they're universal, so we're going to be seeing a lot of mirror matches coming on through, but we're also getting to see all of these amazing, wonderful cosmetics that are up for grabs. We won't be seeing all that much Cloak and Dagger in our games today, but you're still eating well if you're a CD main when it comes to things like the padded cosmetic skin, as well as the God of Winter. We had 4 in-games yesterday, we had 4 in-games in Pacific a little bit earlier as well, and we can really get to see the God of Winter truly shining with some of the buffs that he's had recently.
Yeah, I think, well, we're going to probably see a little bit more Cloak and Dagger Modern 4, I'd say. And I was quite surprised the amount of Cloak and Dagger that we saw that still had a huge amount of impact. But I think for some of the other characters, Penny Parker, we did see the Snow Spider a little bit in action yesterday with some of the games that came in from, I'm trying to remember who it was in particular that pulled it out. Somebody that's sort of very well known for trying it in those instances. It might have been the boys over at Cooking with Kaya, potentially. But we have seen it played. We have seen the team up in use. Daredevil, I don't think we've seen a not Daredevil skin played, but we've seen a lot of him. And Starcracker, I would be surprised if we do see it, considering how loud the voice line is. But for all of these skins that we mentioned, you've got a little less time with the free on screen right now. You've got until not next Friday, but the Friday afterwards. You have a bit more time for the 4 and Cloak and Dagger skin. That's pretty much end of January. So way into the start of Season 6, you'll still have about a week or so in order to get it.
Yeah, those 3, the Penny, the Daredevil, and the Star-Lord, they're all going to be leaving the store when Season 6 hits. So don't be left out in the cold looking through that window, regretting not picking those up when they're in the store rotation. I've been there, I've done that, I've thought to myself, oh, I have an extra day, I'll buy them tomorrow, and then opened up the store and gone, oh no, I have made a terrible mistake and haven't got to see that cosmetic cycle back through. But like you said, Ryan, we're getting to see some of Penny Parker come on through in terms of the professional scene, but she's also getting a fair bit of play in the just normal competitive lobbies as one of the ways that you can sort of deal with dive other than just straight up peeling it or finding eliminations against it. It is with bunker strategies, and that is exactly what the Penny Parker is able to enable. In fact, if you think back all the way to the beginning of 5.0, every competitive game, I feel, had a Penny Parker ban, both from when I was playing it, but also when I was seeing all of the streamers in their matches, as people just did not want to have to deal with the Penny buffs with the Rocket team up.
Yeah, I think Daredevil is a character that we do see a hell of a lot. Certainly when it comes to the ban stage, he's typically one of the first taken out. Slipped for a couple of instances, but just the impact, both from a physical melee character, duelist especially, I don't think there's many that are better right now, but also the fact that you can get that information and communicate it in a coordinated setting. One of the reasons I think the Virtus Pro really started to shine in grand finals is that they were pretty much on the money with like how much focus they put in on a new character. And I sort of feel the same about Rogue, not to the same level, but I feel like the teams are trying to prioritize and use Rogue, even if it feels suboptimal because you still need to get used to it. That's going to prove dividends, certainly when we get into a couple of seasons' time. I mean, look at the use of Angela, right? And Angela's main job is going to be dealing with Star-Lords like this. And Star-Lord, we have seen a good portion of him, but I think a certain other duelist is winning out in popularity.
Yes, Star-Lord's Starcracker skin modeled after the Nutcracker suite, and I mean, there is everything sweet about the skin. Not just that, but you'll also be able to enjoy getting some Star-Lord hours in, because when you pair Star-Lord with Gambit for that Raging Royal Flush and the Galactic Legend combination, it's devastating. It truly is. There's not really a strategist ultimate that can stand up to the sheer amount of incoming damage and pressure that in particular can output. So if you have that Gambit versus Gambit ultimate mirror and one team has that Star-Lord advantage, they will be able to break through the stalemate of those strategist ultimates being in play. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing a whole lot of Gambit, both in the lobbies, but also likely in the draft as well, because it feels like teams either save it or they ban it, but we're getting to see a lot of Gambit and also a whole lot of Loki feature in that particular setting of these matches too.
Really sort of takes up a lot of spots, I think, on the ban phase, which is universal as well. You ban out a character, it's not like Ignite where you ban it out for your opponent, but you could potentially keep it for yourself. You ban it out for both sides, which makes me a little bit scared for like Ignite when it's like, okay, it's still like, okay, you want to get the Gambit out, but you also want to make sure that you maybe get the Loki out or also the Invisible Woman. Trying to do that on both sides is going to be oppressive, I think, to say the least. But you get a lot of the nuance, I suppose, on like team comps and how to work around it, which I assume that all of these teams are considering in this stage. But just as a bit of a recap, MRC is the in-game tournament system that we have bi-monthly. There's going to be a lot more stock in how it's going to be involved in the esports scene this upcoming year in 2026. But for this one, it really is just a litmus test, I think, for a lot of teams. Same prize pool, it's still like $15,000, $6K of that going to the winner. But right now, we're right, like I said, pretty much in the dead center of these rounds. We're sort of finishing off the sort of upper bracket games, starting to really sum them down into like semi-finals, grand finals. But now we're into best of 5, so it doesn't feel like we're going to blitz through these games. And certainly with these matchups that we have in the upper bracket, Moxie, I don't think that these are going to be quick 3-0s by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, a lot of the teams that are going to be featured on broadcast today are very familiar with prize pools and being able to walk away with a fair share of them, as a lot of them have been placing both in MRC but also coming on through in that Ignite system. And I am so excited because we're going to be able to catch up with some teams that we haven't really got to actually see on broadcast so far, but we're also going to be looking through some of the teams that really impressed and stood out yesterday, that do have those up-and-coming talents that we're really looking to see them make their mark when we head into 2026. As I think a lot of people are very familiar with the way that esports sort of evolves as it goes through. Year one of an esports, players don't always stick around all that long. When fresh talent come on through, if you don't manage to keep pace with all of the new blood looking to prove themselves and going above and beyond just to be able to do so, you can very quickly get zoned out.
And I think it's a real case of trying to hold the line, especially in a new game. Any previous experience might sort of get you onto a roster pretty early on, but you don't tend to last too long when you've got some of this new breed coming in. But we sort of mentioned that there's a lot of really good upper bracket games. I think this one takes the cake. Cooking with Kaya, we saw them play in action yesterday. one of the sort of hot commodities, I think, of teams that have put themselves together in the meanwhile, certainly with the experience that they have from teams like FaZe, Virtus Pro with Lindstrom, and you're going up against Insomnia, which pretty much ran a fairly similar roster to this one, with some upgrades with Passio. You've got Desestroid that's been on teams like LG that came all the way through, and introductions, I suppose, to Never Seen Despise, which have both impressed.
So, I fell into that trap when I was first looking at Insomnia's roster. Never See is actually, you know, one of those moments when players change their names and casters.
Oh, is it Nocta?
No idea. It's Nocta.
I remember talking to Tetra about this.
It's not a new player. So Nocta did previously play with Insomnia, so that staple core still going to be there and present to have that synergy. But yes, like you said, the other players very new to the team, so still working on building rapport with each of them, as we can have a look and see the ban draft coming out. No surprises after Frost Mountain's performance on the Daredevil yesterday. That will be the instant ban immediately from Insomnia's end, as we get the Gambit ban as well from Cooking with Kaya, plus the Hella ban, which is paying respect to what Sestroid can do with that duelist. We get the Starlord save as well, which is going to be doing a very good job of both diving aggressively with that Venom off of the space the Vanguard is able to create, but also being able to mark out Insomnia's players if they decide to try and take some of those flanks.
Yeah, Insomnia, very much a well put together machine. Impressed, I think, in stage 2. You sort of mentioned it, like this looks like 4 out of the 6 members of that squad. You've got Despise. I think there is a new introduction to the squad, lining up very nicely with Line Pro, who was a substitute for the team, ended up IGLing them, looking for a team potentially after this stage. Depending, I think, on how this Insomnia squad do, to be honest. Estroid was on the bench, I think, for stage 2 of Ignite. We never really got to see him play, despite him being considered one of the strongest hitscan players in the scene, certainly when we had the Invitational back in February of last year. So this squad has a lot of stuff that's really going for it, and players like Passio and Forever, not being one tricks before, but certainly like making that Vanguard line a lot more robust. And Forever has been playing the Rogue in these instances, is going to play it alongside Passio on the Magneto for the first time on Benim T'Challa.
Yeah, I am interested to see how Insomnia try and deal with this very aggressive, proactive dive coming on through from Cooking with Kurt, because when we saw them yesterday, they were just going full dive. Like, we had the Venom, we had the Angela, we had the Starlord, all committing into physical spaces and then creating that space for Frost Mountain on the Phoenix, who uses a symbiotic relationship, being so far removed from the fight, getting to take full advantage of the damage fall-off buffs that Phoenix was gifted a couple of patches ago. As we get ready to see where exactly that dive is going to hit first, Insomnia do have means of healing it. Both the Loki and the Invis do have resources to keep themselves alive, so is it going to be a soft dive, or will it be a full commitment dive? As we can already see Kaya getting pressured, coming on through with Never See, but Leolas is the one that draws first blood, taking Sestroiditis. As we talked about, that Phoenix is going to be left vulnerable, especially if she's looking to capitalize when Insomnia's head is turned to deal with the Venom.
I must add, at the start of the day, there's one player that I really stand, and it's Leolas. How he performed for FaZe in a previous MRC, I don't think it was the last one, so it would have been like season 3 at the end of that, really started to show. And his DPS line was also with Crisis, who went on to do some pretty good stuff at the end of Grand Finals, even if it was a little bit brief. But Cooking with Kaya, they have so much about them when it comes to these fights to work with. But Insomnia GG, with the support that they have, right? You've got an analyst of Aria that's been with the team for a while, Minty that's been pretty much managing this squad as much as others. They are going to want to run a hard line here. And so far, they haven't won this engagement, but it seems that they're trying to reclaim some of this space, isolate some of the targets, making sure that the backline is going to be completely separated, and the arm amplifier is going to be forced out. Insomnia in this fight, but not really contesting deep enough to actually go in and take the point.
Yeah, I mean, the problem for Insomnia is that Cooking with Kaya got the point. Now that Dive doesn't have to play hard commit, they can just play non-committal style and disrupt Insomnia's organization, so that they never get the opportunity of actually getting 6 players walking onto that point in the ball phase. We do see Lindstrom coming on through with a mirrored Injust Boundary in reaction to the God of Mischief, and once that ends, It does look like Sasho is trying to capitalize with the Ensong Inferno. As Insomnia, no, there's a lot of ultimates coming through from their side, but if they just find 1 point flip fight, they're going to be able to peel the dive that comes at the beginning of all of the next engagements to be able to really make it quite costly, both in terms of point percentage, but also ultimate charge that Cooking with Kaya's team have to part with if they want to actually be able to get into a position to use things like the invisible boundary.
Yeah, I'm getting deja vu of Insomnia playing up against Schmungus a couple of rounds ago on this map. It's the 2-2-2 setup for Insomnia going up against Schmungus and Cooking with Kaya here that are running triple strategist. And I think I was watching your stream breaking it down, Moxie, saying like you've got these two duelists to actually make sure that the flanks on the left-hand side can't really come out. And it's so much more pressure on Leolus to try to be the main difference maker here. He's going to try that with the Galactic Legend. And we do actually see the skin in play, so it's very clear for Insomnia what's about to go down. They get the regeneration domain to survive, and even Rogue is not afraid to go and try to chase the sparrows in the tree by taking Angela right out of the sky.
I mean, Meteor M just absorbs the pressure coming on through from Galactic Legend. Insomnia already knew that with Cooking with Kaya, the mobile ult that they actually had to be able to break through those chokes and force their way into spaces had to be the Stolid's ultimate. So they were prematurely adjusting their positions of the backline, making sure they had things like the regenerative domain, which Easton did try and spoil, coming on through with the Assassin's Charge on that Angela, but just doesn't manage to displace the strategist into a position for the Stolid to be able to catch on to those eliminations. And they're still able to hold, and this is what we talked about. That, however, though, is a huge opening. Cross Mountain being able to catch a fully overextended Star-Lord with that Phoenix, just managing to absolutely blitz through the health bar off of those stuns, and Cooking with Kaya have done what they needed to do. Move onto the point, find a fast flip this Insomnia. It looks like they're just going to try and lose this fight as quickly as possible and then regroup back in with a very aggressive Loki ultimate to push forward.
So much for Cooking with Kaya to sit back on, and the trades are at least good, but it's going to be set up forever. Trying to use the Chrono Kick to get some damage in from the sky, and the Ensong Inferno is certainly going to blast down to see if it can get just a little bit more. Cooking with Kaya, they're still getting the eliminations, and they have point control now as well, so 90% Insomnia. Somebody's got to be looking to go for the Doctor Strange to portal in, because there's not going to be too much time. It has to be Line Pro. It means that Despised is going to be the only strategist to be able to support it. They're not able to touch. I do wonder if Line Pro actually used the portal. I would assume the fact that he stayed on it there, he was in transit.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure portal was mid-cast. And unfortunately for Insomnia as well, if they'd been able to actually get through that portal, they would likely have been able to force the invis boundary from Lindstrom to mirror Despisers. That or Cooking with Kaya would have given it up off of the invis boundary so that they could hold on to their own, because if the invis is ulted first, whoever actually ulted second would be denied utilizing their ultimate to react to the Star-Lord. As that's going to be the game of chicken now that everybody comes into in this first fight, because Pazuo is going to have that Meteor M, but Cooking with Kaya, they don't have that Magneto. They're running a very aggressive Vanguard line with both the Venom and the Angela, who can be in a lot of places all at once, but unfortunately not as good at shutting down directly that Galactic Legend, unless Isidore just stays right on top of Neversi's position.
Pretty much put him in the back pocket. But that does mean this Estroid can have the skies for free. You have to choose one or the other. And that dive needs to be as coordinated as it possibly can be. Insomnia struggled to take the point first last time, and a lot of resources were dedicated to try and take it back quite late on, I think, with some of the fights and how long they were going. So Insomnia, they have a lot of options here to be clean with this fight. Neversee trying to see if that invisible boundary on this side of Lindstrom can be forced out. Really is a game of chicken and how this wants to be played, but it's a great catch and pull around, so Neversee gets caught out. Despised, he goes low. Would you use the invisible boundary here? He really doesn't want to, and at least picks have traded, but that rocket on one side means that it's going to be a quick be right back, and a Galactic Legend forced out first from Leolus.
Yeah, but not in this boundary, because they've got Meteor M and then Regeneration Domain once that one's been removed. Now Lindstrom gets their own invisible boundary on point, but Despise has theirs to be able to overlap and last later, which means that Neversee, out of the reach of the invisible ultimates, will be able to find the elimination onto the rocket. So no BRB, no last-minute Cosmic Ion Amplifier for Cooking with Kaya to utilize to amp up the damage of that end song Inferno. But they do manage to have Frost Mountain's ultimate connect with the ground and Insomnia's players, which does allow Cooking with Kaya, despite losing 6%, with Insomnia winning out the Invis boundary trades, to find a very quick flip.
I think that, yeah, Magneto did so much to at least give you a bit of an edge, but Cooking with Kaya sort of know their win conditions. They know what cons, I suppose, they have with their comp if they're going for this, like, full dive. Not able to mitigate some of that damage. Layla's halfway to having another Galactic Legend. More focus going on to him, but I think that just makes Frost Mountain's job a little bit easier, to be honest. Destroyed, he does have the End Song Inferno. There's not really going to be a good opportunity to use it yet. Might want to see if he can bait out the Ion Amplifier and just try and clear it all out at the same time. You have a Heartbreaker thrown in from Forever, but watching Isidore, he's trying to see if he can find some of these targets whilst the focus is going to be on that main choke, on the objective itself, as it's still in the hands of Cooking with Kaya. The Insomnia might just get completely sideswiped from Isidore as he comes in map 10.
I mean, Insomnia had to be so careful because the End Song Inferno, the focus was on the Cosmic Ion Amplifier, but it's burned out despite getting that 100 extra summon HP before
That's
it
a
can
big
connect,
pick.
which means that Cooking with Kaya get the full advantage of the damage boost, and Insomnia invest so many ultimates without really finding the value off of them. Neversee's even gone over onto the Psylocke, that just gets checked out by the Angela before they can find an inroad against the Rocket to burn out things like the BRB or get the elimination to deny the Cosmic Ion Amplifier, which was the win condition with Cooking with Kaya. And with that one denied, it now falls to one last fight for Insomnia's side. They're trying to build up to the dance of the butterflies from Neversee's end, but Lindstrom's just holding on to the one thing that will be able to sustain the team through, if it even gets to that moment, because Cooking with Kaya, they're just going to go fast. They collapse on Insomnia as they walk up onto the point. No opportunity to build up the Psylocke ultimate, no opportunity to react to the End Song Inferno just coming out of left field, and there's nothing that they can do but just go onto the point in overtime. Neversee's got to immediately go for the ultimate because they're too vulnerable, but the Psylocke's not going to be able to actually contest, which means that one of their Vanguards has to throw their body onto the point instead just to stall Sestroid coming on through with the Strange Portal.
Despise trying to survive around the shields that they put down, but you've got the Galactic Legend and a Venom just sitting on top of you. It's going to be Layaless that's looking to clear up the fight as much as possible, but the portal has allowed Sestroid in order to return Forever as the Angela. It's not going to be too long for him to get back, but it's whether there's going to be enough players trickling in to keep this stalled. Not enough. Cooking with Kaya able to actually win out this first map. Insomnia, usually they're sort of very well set on their comps, but I think when we saw the Psylocke coming out, the Angela switch, even the Loki for Line Pro, it felt like that was kind of the writing on the wall. Like Cooking with Kaya, we're going to cook up this first map in favor of them in this best of 5.
I mean, it's just textbook coming on through with Cooking with Kaya, reading the point percentage and understanding as well that there's one good 6 versus 6 team fight left. For Insomnia, they're a little bit away from their win condition. So they just take their turn first, and Insomnia don't have the opportunity of being able to actually clear where the Phoenix could potentially be in anticipation of the End Song Inferno, because if they spend that precious time looking into those bases to sweep out a duelist, they lose. They don't have the opportunity, the point percentage, to actually get onto the point and contest in time, so they have no choice but to walk directly into the breach. And End Song Inferno, even before it was granted that extra 100 HP up from 400 now to 500, when you use it in those low-rise rooms and the ceiling is so much lower, it becomes so much harder for you actually to be able to shoot out the Phoenix Summon in time before it connects to the ground. The only thing that you can really do is try and react to the detonation after effect, which Line Pro tried with a regeneration domain, but there was just too much incoming damage from too many different points of place.
Yeah, sort of looking at like damage blocked, right? Just briefly, because Layaless taking like 3K's worth of damage compared to Sestroid on 9, it did feel like he had the skies for a little bit more freedom, because damage is about even. I think the main standout is that Lindstrom was able to output so much healing and only went down twice, showing again like the terrific performances that he's been able to put on Invisible Woman. So we'll have to see if Insomnia, now that they have map choice, where they want to take this engagement. Both these teams do like their convergence, they do like those convoy maps as well as domination. We'll see what free range choice they have after this quick break.
trapping all those fighting souls. But yet, across the world, I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come find me. Do you remember who you really are? Show me that you are still the only one for me. I'll be waiting for you. Wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters again, we are rebels till the end. Rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. We will clash, no matter where. We will fight, reaching across time and space. 'Cause you are my destiny to the end. You see the dawn, the flames burning brightly, shining on those memories. And yes, across all time I see you turning the tides. And do you see now our time, our turn? We can still fight like the wind and fire. And wonder no more that now is the only time your heart is mine. Light has fallen, darkness grows, and yes, we fight for our destiny and fate. New days smiling for the past and future. Break those chains, lead the way, fight with me. And when you wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters again, we are rebels till the end. Rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals again until the end of time. Show me that you are still the only one that matters for me. I'll be waiting for you. Wait up, open your hands, holding on to your heart. Look inside you. Can you feel it? The sparks in you. And it up, unleash it up. Wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters yet again, we are rivals till the end. And rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. Remember the dusk, the lights gripping tightly, trapping all those fighting souls. But yet, across the world, I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come find me. on those memories, and yes, across all time I see.
2025 has concluded. We would like to thank all the participating teams and the players who delivered top performances over the past year. It's probably time to discuss the plans for next year. This video will share much about the new format, the new ecosystem, and other surprises. In short, welcome to a more professional, mature, and exciting Marvel Rivals Ignite 2026, the inaugural league year of Marvel Rivals. To better balance each region and present more exciting competition, we've made adjustments to the regional distribution for the Professional League in 2026. Specifically, we are merging the Asia and Oceania regions into a single Pacific region. The regions for 2026 will be Americas, EMEA, China, and Pacific. During the group stage, the Asia and Oceania regions will compete independently and face off in the playoff stage. In 2026, there will be 2 regular seasons and 2 international LAN events. A notable addition this year is the preseason before the start of Stage 1. The preseason is not only the debut for these teams, but will also determine the initial seed placements. Additionally, Marvel Rivals Championship will continue to exist throughout this period. Even more exciting changes include the allocation of league spots and promotions. In the 4 regions, online competitions will determine the teams that qualify for the 2 international events. We eagerly anticipate seeing these competitive teams once again. Starting in 2026, in addition to the preseason, the Regional League and Mid-Season Finals, hosted by Marvel Rivals Ignite, will determine whether teams qualify for the Grand Finals. The final results from Stage 1, the Mid-Season Finals, and Stage 2 will correspond to varying league points allocation. Teams that excel in Stage 2 playoffs or rank highly in the annual league leaderboard will compete for a spot in the Grand Finals. At the same time, to enhance the competitiveness and accessibility of the league, we are introducing a promotion and relegation system that provides all aspiring teams and players around the world with the opportunity to enter the professional league. Teams can earn champion points through the MRC, enabling them to compete fairly for league spots against the low-ranked league teams. Partner clubs will have limited relegation protection opportunities. Speaking of the MRC, there will be 6 seasons next year. The PC region in Season 6 of the MRC will be the final opportunity to compete for the last spots in each region for 2026 preseason and Stage 1. If your region still has available slots, be sure not to miss out. Starting from Season 7 of the MRC, ongoing participation will enable your team to earn champion points, and the teams with the highest cumulative points will have the opportunity to compete for qualifications for the mid-season and end-of-year promotion leagues. Certainly, the most significant surprise is that in 2026, we will launch a Partner Teams program. With certain teams worldwide to become our partners, we will create partner team bundles, and partner teams will enjoy revenue sharing. We hope that this initiative will encourage comprehensive and healthy development of Marvel Rivals esports ecosystem. Besides the partner team bundles, esport bundles will be launched in a timely manner. At the same time, the annual prize pool will exceed $3 million. Let's see how much you can win. More competitions, more moments of victory. There is so much to look forward to next year. The Ignite events of 2025 were unforgettable, and we can't wait to embark on a new journey with everyone.
Hello everybody and welcome back to day 2 of the broadcast matches here at the Marvel Rivals Championship for Season 5-EMEA. We're in the best of 5s, Ryan, and we're coming into map number 2 against Cooking with Kaya versus Insomnia, as Cooking with Kaya went 1-0 up with the dive composition. And I mean, Kaya's Venom, we can see why it was the save. The team's looking very, very strong, just being able to use that Venom, apply token pressure at the beginning of the fights, try and force some of those resources out from things like the Loki and the Invis, and then look to win the fights a little bit later. But what's interesting to me is where Insomnia decide to take us next, because losing out to a dive composition and then deciding to take us to Holodeshali Convergence, that's gonna be like a go big or go home, right? If you go out to the momentum, you're never going to be able to recover, but if you can stave the dive off with something like a Hela or a Phoenix long-range fight, then you should be able to keep the dive at bay.
Insomnia going for the Daredevil ban again. And Gambit, so far it's going to be those common characters. But like you sort of mentioned, a Venom Protect is going to continue on with Cooking Mackay, but I think it's kind of clever, right? Because these bans are universal. Most teams would try to protect something like a Jean Grey or a Daredevil or a Gambit or an Invisible Woman like we saw in places. I do like this pivot though, because one of the things I think that teams struggle with banning against Insomnia is they would go for the first ban on Hela, which would open up Insomnia a chance to protect Gambit, whatever they wanted. Cooking Mackay know that, like, surely if we can second ban the Hela here, this is what they did in the last map. So they're like, maybe we can do that again. So Insomnia like, if you're going to leave us Hela for Cestroid, we're going to take Hela with Cestroid.
Yeah, I mean, this was sort of the red flag that I saw when Insomnia decided to take us to Holodejalia, because this is one of Hela's strongest map, and I was like, okay, surely we're going to be seeing a very early save on the Hela. But this is really, really smart from Cooking with Kaya, because they return fire by, one, removing the Namor, so we don't have the title Dirge team up with that slow effect, which can make it really, really hard for Dive to actually commit into those spaces. But they then continue with the save onto the Phoenix, and with the change that was made to Phoenix in terms of that fall off on her damage, Phoenix now actually gets to take snipe fights in the poke duel against the Hela. So it's going to become much more pressuring for Cestroid to have to take these fights against Cooking with Kaya if they decide to put Leola's onto something like the Phoenix.
Yeah, for Jean Grey, it seems that both duelists on the team could play it, so the Groot is going to be banned out. I think Star-Lord might not have been a bad option too, because if the Star-Lord sort of remains in play, which I imagine in the case of Cooking with Kaya, you'd be happy to, considering the performance that we just saw from Leola's, you can go Jean Grey, Star-Lord, and then now the options for Insomnia is Hela, Jean Grey, Star-Lord. Do you opt in and out of certain ones? Is that going to depend on what part of the map you're on, what side that you're on? It feels like Insomnia could have limited some of the options that Cooking Mackay really succeeded with, whilst also making sure that, like, we're going to force you into a Hela versus Hela, and we're going to diff you.
I mean, I think for Insomnia, they wanted to remove the Groot because it's going to be able to interfere with the line of sight. For the Hela, we're likely not going to see the Hela when Insomnia are on the attack. It's much more likely going to be a pick that they rely on the defense. But we can see, and this was something to talk about as well, Cestroid is known for the Hela, but Nocta, or Neversea as he's now known for, has also been able to play that Hela previously. So Insomnia could actually go for a crossfire of the Hela and the Phoenix, but both of their duelists, if they so choose, and it looks like that's actually going to be the mirror we're going to be getting. I feel so bad for Despise and Lindstrom on the Invis, who are going to really have to choose who they use the Guardian Shield for, and misjudging it is going to result in an elimination almost immediately with the amount of damage that Phoenix and Hela can both very quickly bring to the table.
You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
Pastor is also playing a bit of the Venom himself, seeing if he can match up with some of the dives that Kaya has. We haven't seen the Trust Me rollout with the Spider-Man to roll back in as the Venom afterwards. Both teams not wanting to go for that particular play. It does mean that Kaya needs to be very careful, actually, because he did get stuck on the doorway. There's enough stuns, CC, and pullbacks from the Invisible Woman, and that could have been a little bit more fatal and a little bit more problematic. Looking at Neversea, he's pretty low HP and has been low HP this whole time. He's going to get healed up just for a second, but he's still low and actually gets picked off from Kaya, just isolated clearly away from the other strategists.
Yeah, very similar to how Cooking with Kaya approached that first fight on the first map, right? Waiting for Insomnia to have that Phoenix be isolated, and then sending someone with high mobility for Star-Lord, this time around the Venom, to be able to go punish when all of the resources are being stacked on Cestroid instead. As we get the same thing occurring currently for Leolaz, who's playing up on that high ground, hasn't been cleared, gets the Guardian Shield, and the longer that Insomnia are stuck up on that opposing high ground or on main, the better and more damage that Hela is going to be able to do from that position, as it looks like Insomnia were content with just farming up ultimates, investing them on main, and then trying to work off a point with the better ultimate economy, as we get Despite actually having to invest a super far off point invisible boundary that he simply cannot play inside in anticipation of Kaya having the Feast of the Abyss and punishing him.
And this was off the back of Isidore being the first elimination against Cooking with Kaya. They got a really good copy off from Name, as we've worked out. So call me a bad boy. We're just going to call you Name instead because we know it's you. Able to get the copy Invisible Boundary, force out quite a lot from Insomnia. But Insomnia have managed to turn this fight around. You've got 4 ultimates all used, 5 even in quick succession as the Meteor M, Goddess of Death, Ensong Inferno, and the copy from Line Pro. All of the gods in play, but Isidore and Frost Mountain find some clever picks in order to stop this progression. It's stuck sub 80%.
8-meter distance coming on for Clutch again for that Meteor. Won't find the elimination on the players inside Regeneration Domain. Doesn't matter, the Phoenix is floating directly above that effect. Insomnia down Neversea, down all of their opportunity of picking up that last little bit of point percentage required to head into second. They've got to deal as well with Legolas, who's just untouchable at the moment with the Soul Drainer to open up the fight. And the moment he gets pressured by all of those points coming on from the Loki, this has the Ancestral Blocks to fully reposition, and Kaya now absorbs the Hell is given up position to deny Insomnia that off angle.
There's been a lot of picks against Neversea as he's trying to sort of get into position. It seems like Cooking with Kai reading it so well that they're just going to make sure that one of the main players of this attacking squad isn't really going to be able to get into position. So Insomnia, 6 ultimates were used in about 20 seconds. They weren't able to get much more than that. Layla's trying to go for the flank, finds Sestroid, which is just going to buy a little bit more time. When there's only a minute left on the clock, it's going to count for every second.
Oh, and Frost Mountain has already been able to anticipate Insomnia. They've only got 1 shield to be able to block off 1 angle, which means that they have to rely on map terrain to be able to block off the other. So they have no choice but to go high ground, which means we're going to get the combo! Ensong Inferno, and then Feast of the Abyss, and Insomnia are just wiped off the board. It's not even a full team elimination as well. Cooking with Power are going to be able to get late eliminations, which is then going to spiral effect into Insomnia's regroup when they go into an overtime fight. Now granted, they've still got the Strange Portal. They've still got an opportunity with Passor up on this Venom to be able to tap onto the point without having to rely on investing the Strange Portal. This is just going to be all of their ultimates dumped into one go, essentially, for them to be able to win this out.
It is the kitchen sink. No portal switch over because you've pretty much got everything. You don't want to cut down to 50% when all of these ultimates are good. The first thing that's going to be used is going to be Name bringing in the God of Mischief to go for an early Invisible Boundary. Lindstrom set on his. He does get stunned, but he takes pretty much no damage. Meteor M going to be thrown in. You can see Cooking with Kaya trying to pull the point all the way back. Kaya going in for a deep dive. Does actually get punished and caught out, but the Goddess of Death does take down Lime Pro. So how much are they going to be able to try and go in for this fight? Sestroid's going to bring it out too. Ensong trying to get the pick up to Name. He manages to go for the copy and dash out in place. And the head-to-head of the Hellas is going to be won out in favor of Sestroid. Looks like Insomnia finally get everything across the board, Moxie. But it took literally everything, including a portal right at the end from Kaya, I believe. It's gone. Okay, nope, back onto the Venom.
Great Ensong Inferno coming on through from Neversea, who reads the position of Cooking with Kaya's backline perfectly. Knows that even if he overextends away from the rest of his team and line of sight of his strategists who are concentrating on keeping the vanguards and everybody on the objective, top, he's got the Ensong Inferno, gets the health reset, still has the angle as well because he casts it from the high ground to be able to keep up the pressure and find those crucial eliminations on the strategists so that the portal isn't stalled in time. And now, the reason why Insomnia invested everything and Cooking with Kaya invested everything is because whoever won that point fight, well, if Cooking with Kaya won it, the map would be done. But for Insomnia, if they win it, they got the opportunity to push up forwards and develop the angle first for the Hela and Phoenix before Cooking with Kaya's team can even regroup in. But Kaya on that Venom has done such a good job of swinging on through and preventing Insomnia the opportunity of finding a magic pick on the defender's rotation that all of that space control has just flipped right back into the favor of the defensive side.
The structure is there for Cooking with Kaya. One of the main Alcacia players alongside Lindstrom, and they were a very well-drilled team. Both of these guys in Insomnia feel like they're very much cut from the same cloth. Is whether or not they can have a really top finish in a pretty open MRC with just Na'Vi, one of the main EMEA teams that we're seeing still play alongside Chop. But for Cooking with Kaya, the fact that they're able to take this fight so deep is working out so well for them. It's now, again, under 1 minute. Really does seem that Insomnia, they're not trying to cycle their ultimates. They're all so in sync that it's just, okay, group them up. We'll use all 6 at once. That's how we have to win these team fights because nothing else has been working.
Oh, here comes Leolaz though. This is so similar, waiting for that Loki ultimate cast to come on through from Nane, knowing that Cooking with Kaya get the opportunity of investing the invisible boundary when Insomnia decide to commit into that fight and run into them. Leolaz does get swept, however, 2 versus 1, both the Phoenix and the Venom exchanging position to remove that line of sight duelist. And Insomnia investing everything, but the problem for them is, do they have enough? The rights go into overtime. Cooking with Kaya's defensive one is going to be so much closer in comparison, and they haven't been able to find the full team wipe. They've still got to deal with an invisible boundary coming on through from Lindstrom. Goddess of Death from Setroid is burnt out so quickly that Lindstrom doesn't even feel pressured enough to use the ultimate. They just rely on the regeneration domain instead.
He's got the bulwark, he's dove right into the backline, and there's just so little to be able to do with it. I didn't think Hella was going to be really much of a threat there, but on the other side, Layla's shots in the dark for the invisible boundary catches onto Line Pro. Just pot shot on the objective now that we're into overtime, and just watching Kaya make this work, I'm surprised that we haven't seen more Venom like this in this tournament. Kaya's really starting to turn people's attention and focus over to it, whilst the rest of the team has cleared up this attacking side. A pretty much middle of the line finish on the second checkpoint, but we would expect Insomnia, once they got first, to be pretty much right at the end of the second checkpoint, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, for Insomnia, the only way that they're able to recover from having to take first in overtime is if they win first fight on second, and they get to just keep pushing Cooking with Kaya to the absolute limit in terms of ultimates, in terms of losing players, just to be able to get further forward and prevent that convoy from just continuing its momentum. The moment that they just lost control of the situation, it was already going to be so hard for them to be able to spin that situation back into control, even before they had 6 ultimates. Because if they invest 6 ultimates there, right, and Cooking with Kaya likewise invest 6 ultimates there, the defense is still going to have a huge advantage, because there's another whole fight that has to be played out.
Yep.
And Insomnia wouldn't have ultimates to be able to brute force those eliminations very quickly, one after the other in rapid succession, to be able to beat the defensive respawn advantage, and would likely find themselves just burning out of what they required to get into third.
It's like that final fight that we saw in Benim T'Challa. Like, you have those extra ultimates over, you know that the other teams use them. It's like, okay, we're just going to use everything now in the fight where you don't want us to be able to contest and be on the objective. You split the focus a bit more. But at the very least, Cooking with Kaya on their defense forced out the full 4 minutes on this first point. Insomnia really does feel that they have to do the same. A full hold might be their best option. Really, it might be their only option.
That's not a Hella. Insomnia, like Cooking with Kaya and Insomnia on the attacker side, when we saw it, it was the Hella versus Phoenix distance fight off. Neversea is actually going to be locking the Psylocke already, and trying to jump onto Leolaz to force the Hella to have to turn and look at the Psylocke, therefore opening them up to be vulnerable to the rest of Insomnia's team. But how is the Psylocke going to be able to work, as Neversea hasn't been able to commit onto the Hella's position yet, which means that Leolaz, uncontested currently, finds the first elimination, and it's a devastating one. Insomnia are down to Loki. Look at what Cooking with Kaya do immediately when they see the disparity. They move on to point, they use regeneration domain to get themselves into an aggressive position, and find another elimination onto Insomnia when their vanguards are vulnerable.
We're starting to see a bit more method to the madness of why we saw Neversea pull out the Psylocke briefly on Benim T'Challa right at the end of it. It seems that it is something that they want to stick to compositionally. You're not really relying on any team-ups before, but it is pulling the focus. They do go down, but not until we see Cooking with Kaya actually take the point pretty early on. Insomnia weren't able to really sort of pull it up into that position, and Cooking with Kaya really is a case of setting up Layla. He's so far pushed forward. Yeah, and he's on the flank.
Gets one body shot, looking for the Soul Drainer into the headshot follow-up to just melt the Psylocke through. And then he pulls the attention of the Venom, which means that his strategists aren't being pressured at all at the moment. And Cooking with Kaya, Ryan, they've already taken us to last fight.
Yeah, it's pretty much going to be at the end of it. 5 minutes to push this a little bit extra. And they've even got the invisible boundaries forced out on either side. It's going to be Namid that's going to get there with the copy before Line Pro, unless some big surge of healing comes through. But now an Ensong Inferno from Frost Mountain, almost posturing to see if it can take some into control. The objective is back in the favor of the attacking side, and you've lost Line Pro, so you don't have some more sustenance there. It relies a lot on Neversea to come in with the Dance of the Butterflies, and he's able to pick up 2. Defenders holding on, but there's still so much time, 4.5 minutes.
Oh, the skin of that teeth and almost every ultimate. that they had in the arsenal. I mean, Dance of the Butterflies combined with Face of the Abyss, being able to find the elimination, even through the strategist sustainability with that anti-heal 40% effect now attached to that Venom ultimate. But the problem for Insomnia, one, well, literally one fight away from Cooking with Fire being able to take away this map. And two, they don't have strategist ultimates yet. They don't have the God of Mischief built up to be able to deal with Leolas and Kaya combining aggression into eliminations as the Venom dive comes through, clearing accessories, so an opportunity for that Phoenix to tax Cooking with Kaya's players on the walk-up. However, cross-mounting going down, do Cooking with Fire decide to commit to this fight? It looks like they do. They've been able to find 2 eliminations to win the numbers trade, and still having those ultimate advantages. Just commit the fight before Insomnia build up ultimates to see them off it.
Yeah, there's just not enough there. Right before Insomnia might have had something to help with that engagement, it was a good spot from the Goddess of Death, and Cooking with Kaya on the map choice for Insomnia, taking it pretty cleanly. Almost a full hold on their defense at first. It took all 6 ultimates to come in from Insomnia. But honestly, one of the sharpest, I'm trying to think of what the word would be, the shortest like progressions that we've seen on second really was shallow, I suppose is the better word for it. Usually we see it a bit pushed up more. But Cooking with Kaya, with certainly another MVP performance from Kaya on this Venom, able to take such aggressive fights, and Insomnia didn't seem to have the response for it.
I mean, for Insomnia, it strikes me as so strange that they went as far as taking us to Hall of Deshalia, saving the Hela so that they could play it, and then not playing the Hela when they were on the defensive side, and therefore could begin the match with the angle already developed with the Hela. I mean, that goes to show how concerned they were about Cooking with Fire and the aggression that the dive would be able to formulate onto that Hela's isolated position. Because this is what we talk about, right? When you're running that Hela, when you're running the Phoenix, the Invis has to make the choice of which of those duelists is going to be getting all of those resources, both the Guardian Shield, but also the heal direction, because you're not stacking your Phoenix and your Hela together, because that then means you're controlling one angle instead of maintaining a monopoly of 2 and having that really punishing crossfire that you force the enemy team into having to walk into. So if they go and try and contest one space, they open themselves up to become so much more vulnerable to the other. But then they start with this Psylocke, which says to me maybe they want to go proactive and try and take first turn and pressure the Hela, but the Psylocke never really gets off the ground. We'll have to see whether Insomnia will be able to get off the ground in terms of points and maps that they're able to take, as we'll be back with potentially the last map in the series after this short break.
Trapping all those fighting souls, but yet across the world I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight like the sun and moon, and I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are standing now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come fight me. Do you remember who you really are? Show me that you are still the only one for me. I'll be waiting for you. Blink and open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls before the rift splinters again. The arrival till the end. Rise and open your mind. Hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. We will clash, no matter where. We will fight, reaching across time and space. 'Cause you are my destiny to the end. You see the dawn, the flames burning brightly, shining on those memories. And yes, across all time I see you turning the tides. And do you see now our time, our turn? We can still fight like the wind and fire, and wonder no more. brightly, trapping all those fighting souls. But yet, across the world, I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come find me. Do you remember who you really are? Show me that you are still the only one for me. I'll be waiting for you. Playing out, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters again, we are rebels till the end. Rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. We will clash, no matter where. We will fight, reaching across time and space. 'Cause you are my destiny to the end. You see the dawn, the flames burning brightly, shining on those memories. And yes, across all time I see you.
2025 has concluded. We would like to thank all the participating teams and the players who delivered top performances over the past year. It's probably time to discuss the plans for next year. This video will share much about the new format, the new ecosystem, and other surprises. In short, welcome to a more professional, mature, and exciting Marvel Rivals Ignite 2026, the inaugural league year of Marvel Rivals. To better balance each region and present more exciting competition, we've made adjustments to the regional distribution for the Professional League in 2026. Specifically, we are merging the Asia and Oceania regions into a single Pacific region. The regions for 2026 will be Americas, EMEA, China, and Pacific. During the group stage, the Asia and Oceania regions will compete independently and face off in the playoff stage. In 2026, there will be 2 regular seasons and 2 international LAN events. A notable addition this year is the preseason before the start of Stage 1. The preseason is not only the debut for these teams, but will also determine the initial seed placements. Additionally, Marvel Rivals Championship will continue to exist throughout this period. Even more exciting changes include the allocation of league spots and promotions. In the 4 regions, online competitions will determine the teams that qualify for the 2 international events. We eagerly anticipate seeing these competitive teams once again. Starting in 2026, in addition to the preseason, the Regional League and Mid-Season Finals, hosted by Marvel Rivals Ignite, will determine whether teams qualify for the Grand Finals. The final results from Stage 1, the Mid-Season Finals, and Stage 2 will correspond to varying league points allocation. Teams that excel in Stage 2 playoffs or rank highly in the annual league leaderboard will compete for a spot in the Grand Finals. At the same time, to enhance the competitiveness and accessibility of the league, we are introducing a promotion and relegation system that provides all aspiring teams and players around the world with the opportunity to enter the professional league. Teams can earn champion points through the MRC, enabling them to compete fairly for league spots against the low-ranked league teams. Partner clubs will have limited relegation protection opportunities. Speaking of the MRC, there will be 6 seasons next year. The PC region in Season 6 of the MRC will be the final opportunity to compete for the last spots in each region for 2026 preseason and Stage 1. If your region still has available slots, be sure not to miss out. Starting from Season 7 of the MRC, ongoing participation will enable your team to earn champion points, and the teams with the highest cumulative points will have the opportunity to compete for qualifications for the mid-season and end-of-year promotion leagues. Certainly, the most significant surprise is that in 2026, we will launch a Partner Teams program. With certain teams worldwide to become our partners, we will create partner team bundles, and partner teams will enjoy revenue sharing. We hope that this initiative will encourage comprehensive and healthy development of Marvel Rivals esports ecosystem. Besides the partner team bundles, esport bundles will be launched in a timely manner. At the same time, the annual prize pool will exceed $3 million. Let's see how much you can win. More competitions, more moments of victory. There is so much to look forward to next year. The Ignite events of 2025 were unforgettable, and we can't wait to embark on a new journey with everyone.
Insomnia might be having nightmares about how Halls of Jajali just went for them, and Cooking with Kaya have cooked themselves up 2 wins so far in this best of 5. 1 more and it'll be continuing on until I think it's like the upper bracket semi-finals, which would pretty much mean that your game is going to be next weekend, where we'll be going over the action as well as seeing what's going to be happening in Asia and Americas as well over these next coming weeks. So Insomnia, they do have map choice again, and it's almost like the sort of Ignite map draft system, where we've gone for another game mode instead of domination and convergence. We're going for full convoy, and we're going for Yggdrasil, Moxie.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense why Insomnia are wanting to avoid domination, and that's because all of the domination maps that are left are just so favorable for dive, especially the point percentage games that like Cooking with Kaya are playing. Soft dive gets you so much point percentage without having to commit any form of ultimates or eliminations. It's insane. You can essentially just win the entire map off of just first fight alone if you're playing a soft dive composition. But Insomnia, like you said, they've had the opportunity now to take us to another map, and unfortunately for them, they still don't get this opportunity of banning out Kaya's Venom, because as you and I, we were discussing, trying to work out how exactly Insomnia could react to try and come back from the situation. They have to keep banning the Daredevil because they're duelist players. They overlap with the hero pools between Cestroid and Neversea. Just doesn't facilitate the Daredevil. So if they don't go for the instant ban onto it, Cooking with Kaya's team will no doubt go for the immediate save so that they get one-sided Daredevil for Frost Mountain.
Yeah, it's one of those ones too, I suppose. It's like, as far as we know, because we have seen Neversea Nocta play in Psylocke, which you sort of highlighted in the break, is something that we didn't really see at all in 2025. So maybe in the time off that he's been playing other stuff. I mean, a lot of other people have, but it's more the case that it would be a complete role swap for him almost, no? That's just like, that would be the weirdest thing about it. And then, yeah, if you don't ban out the Daredevil, you just give it to Frost Mountain, who has shown already a weird mix of characters that he typically plays, but Daredevil is now in that package, and it was a very good Daredevil that we saw.
And if you don't go for the instant ban on the Venom, because you have to go for the Daredevil instead, Kaya gets the Venom coming on through. So Insomnia, like, for them, it's going to be how far can you actually get through your attack, because you're going to be in a better position when you swap over to the defensive half, because you're going to be able to play the 3-3 and have enough sustainability to live through the focus of that soft dive, especially because everyone's going to be stacked. We're not going to be seeing isolated players, which Cooking with Kaya's team have been very adept at being able to spot out those players who are split off from the rest of Insomnia's main core and very quickly mobilize and translate it into an elimination. And given that Insomnia go for the save on Adam Warlock, that reads that they're playing the ban draft to have a more favorable defensive half, since we're going to have both the Soul Bond but also the Karmic Revival.
Team to win this one.
And so far, every map's for Insomnia's final ban has been group, which means that that's going to be unlocked a little bit if Cooking with Kaya want to go for it. Banning out the Hela, a little bit of a different order, but the Loki is also a bit of a new face that's been shown in. Insomnia seem to have a very like consistent draft over the last couple of games. The small pivot of just giving Cestroid over the Hela, but want to go for the Mantis and then the Adam Protect as well. So there's no Protect on Invisible Woman, but I mean, I think when you're going up against Lindstrom, he's not going to want to take it out.
No, Lindstrom is really happy that Invisible Woman isn't played. You know, we would say maybe the Venom is going to struggle against the Invis Woman with just the grab, the push and pull that you can pull off when the Venom is trying to disengage, but Kaya has been so good at just slipping through the reaches of Insomnia's backline and getting in and out with barely a scratch attached to his health bar, as it is going to be Cooking with Kaya's team up first on the defensive half. Layla's, interesting enough, actually going to be going over onto the Ultron, so this is a good read against both the Storm and the Moon Knight. He's going to be split away from the rest of the team, so he's not going to be up for the Ankh bouncers. but he's also going to be able to, with the tracking, put more pressure on the Storm than Insomnia are going to have employed. So it's Sestroid who swaps off of the Moon Knight, seeing that Cooking with Kaya's team aren't full stack with a very close hold on Convoy, moves over to the Punisher instead to try and put some pressure and melt through all of the health bars of the players in front of him.
He's got a lot of damage. Booster can help him out. And Leolus needs to be careful he's not going to get shot out of the sky. Seen Frost Mountain on the Emma Frost. Surprised that we haven't seen it much in this series in particular, knowing the kind of like frontline vanguards that are in play. But it really is just more of a case of going for the straight dive with a little bit more zest, I suppose, as the Sea Dog going on to the Captain America, taking quite a lot of damage, but having enough healing to keep himself going. And Kaya... Yeah, they've already managed to farm it up, is what I was going to say. Like, they're now trying to fight this back. And they've got an invisible boundary if it's needed. It's going to force it out from Despise. And Sestroid, he wants to use his ultimate with the Punisher, but you've got to imagine that Lindstrom's response is going to be straight up putting the silo down.
Well, Frost Mountain is going to force the final judgment for the CC immunity with the Sonic Seduction, and Insomnia are actually going to be able to keep stuff up for the most part with the Cosmic Gun Amplifier, but unfortunately, it also means that the final judgment didn't really get much of anything to move Insomnia forward because everybody had to deal with both the Emma's ultimate positioning and also keeping the Punisher up for all of the incoming damage from the defensive side. So now, ultimate's burned out. Cooking with Kaya's team get the better of the situation. They get more setup. Isidore on that Captain America is going to be so annoying for Insomnia's team to have to deal with, because when we see Neversee use that Hurricane and try and move the team forward by utilizing it to put pressure on the backline, Captain America can just fall into the absence on the objective itself so that Insomnia don't get any movement forward.
With these walls, you want to try and isolate these vanguards, but both of them are so vertically adept, they're going to be able to just leap up and go for these fights. You got the Omega Hurricane that's more used in the backline to sort of clear the B right back if they can. It's not really going to be used on any of the strategists as the Rage of Ultron comes out again from Leolus. Yan Amplified just improving the damage and healing output all in one good go. And Insomnia seemed that they were going to go in for the play, and there wasn't really much to follow it. Meteor M was even dedicated from Passuo, and it was very close to getting another final judgment from Sestroid, but he's instantly deleted by this dive again from Kaya.
I mean, Freedom Charge is just the freedom given over to Cooking with Kaya's team to play aggressive and catch the disengagement before Insomnia players can even hold themselves safely up inside that spawn point. And now, yet again, we see this Desperation swap coming on through. Neversee is going to go over to the Psylocke. A little bit more understandable in this situation, given that Psylocke does manage to handily deal with flying characters like the Ultron. But first, you have to employ it to just clear the space that Isidore is going to be occupying, because, yet again, with Insomnia's team, when they try and move forward, the Captain America just stalls out the objective itself. Final Judgment moves on forward. Everyone from Cooking with Kaya so close on top of Insomnia's team that they do get slowed down. But Lindstrom's got his own invisible boundary to come on through afterwards, and again, Final Judgment just doesn't burn through the team in time.
It's 2 for 2. The Frost Mounted has almost put Sestroid in the back pocket. Silent Seduction forcing out the final judgment again, and then there's just Lindstrom to go with the invisible boundary. To the point that Sestroid is actually going to swap over towards this Jean Grey. Cooking with Kaya not really lost much space at all, and the third Rage of Ultron is going to come in from Leolus. He is too low though. Instant hop up from Neversee to clear him out, but the backline is under pressure again. Despise, it's sort of one of the few times that we've seen him play in MRC. Certainly like the levels of this. I think he played in the last one, but didn't play on a team like this for Insomnia. He's just been sort of swiped against Cooking with Kaya. It's constant threat that you're having to deal with, and Sestroid going in deep to try and go in for the fight, going to get completely taken out as overtime looms.
They're splitting the numbers. They're thinning the herd so that when Cooking with Kaya's team come through the portal, it's not the full team, which means that they don't have enough bodies to be able to absorb all of the dash damages coming in through from Psylocke Ultimate. There's down to the Butterflies from Neversee, paired up with the Heartbreaker, so even if Cooking with Kaya did have something like the Cosmic Gun Amplifier, which might have been able to be employed to heal through the Psylocke Ultimate, it's not used in time. We also get the full ability steal coming out from the rogue to be able to tether snap and slow Cooking with Kaya's players down when they try and play inside that Freedom Charge. But Insomnia's players, without the side being there, just don't have the damage to be able to push through the health buzz that Freedom Charge provides. And Cooking with Kaya's team, they're pulling it back slowly. Out comes Invisible Boundary from Despise. It's going to be paired up with Ensong Inferno on the objective itself, just looking to prevent Cooking with Kaya's players from stalling the objective any longer. But Lindstrom has been able to build in the interim an Invisible Boundary of their own, gets the elimination onto Neversee, and Insomnia's players are so split apart. They just don't have the numbers to be able to live on the objective any longer.
There's not enough players left. They're still managing to touch. Forever was the one to swap over onto the portal, but every time that we do see Insomnia show up on the screen, it's one red player versus up against 3 or 4 blues. You've seen Isidore, he's been consistently hard to take down. He's been hard to fight, and you've got Frost mounted to switched over towards the Final Judgment. It comes out and clears, and Leoless switching over towards the Star-Lord. They've all built up these ultimates so quickly as Insomnia are scrambling to just get this past first. Ensong trying to come down to stall and touch. Line Pro has to be the one to keep his boot over on this chariot to keep Insomnia's attacking side going, but it's not enough, even with all that stall, even with that fight going on. Cooking with Kaya, certainly Lindstrom again on this Invisible Woman, finding so much impact and a really strong defense.
Just when the invisible boundaries are needed, Lindstrom comes through with them. It's so good, the timing of the ultimates. Like, Cooking with Kaya's team, they know when to go proactively to force a reaction from Insomnia, but they know when to take that turn second as well, to be able to stall out the fight and make sure that they can come back on through with the regroup. Even swapping over to the Punisher as well, something that Insomnia's players, like, they were trying to use the Punisher to just have that damage potential of finally, 1, putting pressure on the Ultron out in the open, and 2, being able to burst through the health bars of things like the Venom and the Captain America, plus the CC immunity against the Emma's ultimate. But when we go into the neutral fight and Cooking with Kaya's team themselves have a Punisher in the overtime play, the Punisher just lays down so much more damage in the neutral in comparison to Neversee, who's desperately trying to build that last little bit to the Dance of the Butterflies, but the change made to the Psylocke ultimate means that the rage needed is so much more. So unfortunately, the Psy goes down, less than 5% away from the win condition that Insomnia would have been able to use. But this is what we were talking about when we saw the ban draft, right? Insomnia's players, they didn't draft just for the attack. They drafted heavily to favor a composition on the defense. As we're gonna see Leolaz looking for a damage boosted one shot on the Widow, not find anything, and back over to the Punisher we go. As Cooking with Kaya's team, they're gonna do just what Insomnia did. Massive damage output composition to break through the res before the res is available.
Yeah, there was that protector went on to Adam from Insomnia, wasn't used on the defense from Cooking with Kaya. There's going to have to be so much focus. Cestroid can certainly do a lot of the damage in these spaces, but the support needs to be there for Neversee. He goes down. It's going to have to be Beer back from Line Pro that's going to bring him into the fray instantly, but you can't lose any other players, and you've lost Forever in the interim. So already you're starting to really churn up these players. You're strung along as Cooking with Kaya now using this as a chance to go full throttle into the backline, really start to stall out these defenders, make sure that they can't regroup. They had to consolidate themselves here. Insomnia, they're trying to touch the point, but they have to group up and wait for Forever to come back.
Yeah, Pathor does what we saw Cooking with Kaya's team do when they were defending, which was send the Captain America onto the objective, but it's not stalling out as long as it was for the other side, which means that we're down to last fight territory, so the ultimates are going to be coming out in full. If Cooking with Kaya can wipe Insomnia off the board, it doesn't matter if Comic Revival's up. I don't think they have the time or positioning to set up the rest to get the players back onto the objective in time. Forever comes on through with the Sonic Seduction, trying to stall out. The Cesar has been taken out, has to go for the regenerative cocoon to bring himself back into that fight alongside the Comic Revival cast, which will be able to come out. But here is the problem, Ryan. Do they have players on the objective to stall it, or do Cooking with Kaya manage to creep it through before the revive can come on out with the regroup? No, it was from the side room, so Insomnia will be able to get boots on the ground to be able to hold it, but they don't have an ultimate to push back against the ammo. And Cooking with Kaya's team, they've got their one-sided damage boost. Insomnia's players are just falling left, right, and center. This is just a matter of cleanup.
It's been pretty much that from the start of the series right to the end. Cooking with Kaya, it's making sure that the temperature's right, that they've got the right measurements, and they have cooked up a delicious 3-0 in this best of 5 against an Insomnia team that you would expect to be at the top here. But it's the fact that Cooking with Kaya, they read the meta, the draft so well, and it seemed that Insomnia didn't really have too much of a response to it.
I feel like for Insomnia's side, it was just missing some of the crucial hero pools, which left them, unfortunately, so affected by the ban draft. as we talked about, right? Not being able to field a Daredevil of your own, forcing your hand to have to instant ban Daredevil each of your matches just left them so vulnerable to things like the dive, but also for Kaya's Venom to be able to get through. Because against any other team, if you have a Daredevil player, your immediate response to Kaya being able to go in didn't die once, by the way.
Yep, 29 and 0.
Those sides, showing you exactly how adept Kaya is at being able to get in and out of those situations flawlessly and just making it look effortless. Like you said, Venom has sort of fallen out of the meta because he hasn't been finding as much value as some of these other Vanguards now in play, but Kaya just makes Venom look like an S-tier pick when you just don't have the means of being able to punish him. And for other teams, you would have been able to remove the Venom with the draft, but unfortunately for Insomnia, they never got the opportunity to do it.
No, not at all. And we've sort of said, I remember Tetra mentioning on like a Vodable podcast recently of like so many of these bans go into like focusing on particular players, because going for the general, like getting rid of Daredevil, getting rid of Gambit opens up spaces like this for Cooking with Kaya where they can just get the advantages in some of the drafts that you're not really going to see all that often. How much Venom have we realistically seen over the last day and a half, right? Not as much as we saw in this series, and certainly not having the same amount of impact and success. So it's a Michelin star, I suppose, for Kaya's performance that has been always strong in Ignite, but really shone in this series against a strong Insomnia squad. It means that Insomnia do get knocked down to losers bracket. They're not done and out just yet, but we might see them a little bit later on. For the side of Cooking with Kaya, I think it's next week that we're going to see them in action. But we've got more games going on. Literally right now, you can go into game and watch some of these, but we're going to be continuing on with the upper bracket of round 10 after a quick break. So we'll see you very shortly.
Trapping all those fighting souls, but yet across the world I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come fight me. Do you remember who you really are? Show me that you are still the only one for me. I'll be waiting for you. Wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters again, we are rebels till the end. Rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. We will clash, no matter where. We will fight, reaching across time and space. 'Cause you are my destiny to the end. You see the dawn, the flames burning brightly, shining on those memories. And yes, across all time I see you turning the tides. And do you see now our time, our turn? We can still fight like the wind and fire. And wonder no more that now is the only time your heart is mine. Light has fallen, darkness grows, and yes, we fight for our destiny and fate. New days smiling for the past and future. Break those chains, lead the way, fight with me. And when you wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters again, we are rebels till the end. Rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals again until the end of time. Show me that you are still the only one that matters for to you. Ready to unleash it. Wake up, open your fries, raising the fist and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters yet again, we are rivals to the end. And rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time.
Hold still. I'm trying to help.
Lights out. Let's pop back up under their noses. Us against the world!
My time to shine.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Game 2 as we follow along with Day 2 of the broadcast matches for the Marvel Rivals Championship Season 5. And Ryan, we continue just being the gift that keeps on giving because we have another insane matchup. It's going to be FUT Esports versus Final Dance, and there's some familiarity for these players on both sides. A little bit extra on the line, yes.
It feels that way a little bit. We've sort of mentioned one of the teams that we saw in previous MRCs called FaZe that had a top 6 finish to try and qualify for the grand finals. So a couple more wins. We would have seen them in Atlanta last year. We do have the majority of that FaZe roster. Actually, you've got Smash, Nez, Winnie, Oasis, and also I think it was would have been Smash, Nez, Winnie, and Oasis. Yeah,
Binary.
And they're up against Binary. And they're going up against Binary on the other side. So we have seen players like Laylas that was also on this team, Crisis that went over towards Navi, seems to have split up in different directions. And you've also got Slopodopoulos that was on Peps in stage 2 that had a really rough go of it, like wasn't a great stage for them in the slightest, as well as the main core, I suppose, of this all business FUT roster that we saw in stage 2 that is also kind of wanting to run it back and do a little bit better than what they managed right at the end of Ignite 2025.
Well, no surprises. We theorized that Black Size Groot wouldn't be making it out of the starting gates, and indeed, it's not even going to be able to make it past that first ban, as Final Dance will be really targeting FUT Esports Vanguard line, because Black Star is known for Groot, Binary is known for Angela. And Hell's Heaven is a very strong map for both of those Vanguards, which... yeah, the 4 save might be starting to make some form of sense right now. As Ryan, after all of these bans have come through, we might actually have very little Vanguards left for these players to choose from.
It's going to be a great test for the main Vanguards that are in this one. Some of the more experienced players, I'm pretty sure that all of them were in the Invitational in February of last year. On various teams, mind, but like certainly... just across the stars being involved this far. Now we're starting to see some of the Vanguards not be taken out as such, but a Jean Grey protected a Star-Lord is going to be removed. Maybe more of a lean towards going something like Triple Strategist and just relying on the Jean Grey. You don't really want both of them to be up in the sky. And FUT are more certainly looking to try and take out the Vanguard line. It's going to be their final ban. Universal, it's going to be the Hella. So maybe it is just going to be really forcing both teams to just be on the Jean Grey, maybe something along like the Wolverine. Actually, no, never mind. Daredevil was completely omitted, so it does give some freedom. And Ballas, who really impressed with Al-Qadsiya in stage 2, he's going to be on Daredevil. Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, back then we got to watch him on Psylocke, and to give sort of context of how strong a Psylocke Ballas was, he was one of those players who, even when Psylocke wasn't full meta, unless you had like very specific conditions, he would, if he was in the lobby, still have his Psylocke banned against him. As I believe this is actually the first time that we're gonna get the not Daredevil costume actually getting to see gameplay on the MLC EMEA broadcast, as Ballas has currently got that one equipped.
So I feel, I was just gonna say, like, it almost feels that we need like a bingo of like, can we get all of the skins that we spoke about at the start of today? So we have the Starcracker one.
We had
really, it's just getting Penny
yes.
Parker. We
Snow
could have got
Spider,
Thor here.
yeah.
We could have got the God of Winter 4 skin for Black Cell, but instead he's trying to pretend that he's in the Southern Hemisphere. But he's going to be playing the Force. Select's going to be thrilled.
I mean, I love that Thor costume. Regardless, the hammer actually croaking when it connects with players is just peak for me. And we're following Black's POV, which means that I might actually get to hear those sound effects in players. Now we swap over to Damon, who's actually going to be playing the Psylocke himself, looking to play off of the space that his vanguards create for him. Although unfortunately for him, not really going to find all that many isolated players, as Ballas is going to be able to read the situation perfectly with the Daredevil passive. And final match, therefore, with all of that information, know exactly where to hit to make it hurt.
Fatal Attraction really shining when you've got 2 rogues and 2 gambits in the server. The team buff is really going to be very nice between them, and it is an attraction between, I guess, all 4 of them to an extent. You also have the first like rogue versus rogue that we've seen so far. Both teams looking to scrap it out. 4 is certainly going to be a very anti-Vanguard matchup. But we have mentioned like the rogue and Emma Frost combination just being incredibly hard to move off of the objective. The fact that 4 take it first means that Final Dance might have to push this one a little bit to a slower pace.
I mean, it's not going to be slow when we get the ultimates coming into play, but Final Dance didn't really get the opportunity of building up to the Gambit or the Loki ultimate to proactively take this next fight, so they are going to, like you said, have to take it a little bit slower at the moment, making sure, however, that taking it slow doesn't leave them vulnerable when the Vanguards move forward, to the backline being susceptible to those dives coming from both sides. So we actually got to see just that. Both Milkboy and Lugia moving forward, taking a push and then peeling back just on the off chance that their backline was being jumped upon.
Yeah, hard to tango between the two. It is just right now the End Song Infernos, the Sloppo and Smashnares. Seeing if they can sort of hold out in his face. Seeing if the Rogue can really just get in the face. It is going to make it very difficult and pressured. The Reflect is going to be required for the Daredevil as the support starts to come in, and End Song means that this is very much a brawl in the stairwell. Seeing a Daredevil in the hallway is enough to make anybody scared or excited depending on what side that you're on, and Let the Devil Out is available. He is very low HP, but it has provided so much of a window for Smashnares up in the sky that it should shoot down and shut down anything the Foot are trying to do. Progression taken, but 2/3 on the point already for Foot.
Much better.
It's not quite the one-take cinema that we get from the Daredevil television show, but that's still making that Daredevil ultimate count. And Final Dance now getting the opportunity of dictating that tempo, going to be kicking things off with the Heartbreaker so that Foot Esports don't get the opportunity of Closer getting the God of Mischief copy onto the Gambit ultimate to try and prevent Final Dance's forward push. Closer, unfortunately, getting that ultimate just drained time and time again, not allowing Foot Esports any opportunity of contesting until the Rogue's 10-second duration is over. Now we're going to get it invested as Foot Esports still think that this is winnable, but losing that 4 and not having a shield to be able to interfere with the Sonic Seduction is going to slow things down significantly.
Yeah, Demon, I think on the Psylocke, it's not so much that we've never seen it. It's just, again, seems to be like a sort of a change up, and it seems to be Psylocke day today. We consider it to be not as meta, but it seems to be a good old option. Heartbreaker really for Binary, seeing if he can turn a few hearts into his favor. Unfortunately, no, it's going to be just full spades as Winnie over on the Gambit. It's going to flip him across with the Royal Flush. You got Oasis, I think they went for a copy actually of the Royal Flush. It was just Winnie benefiting off the side effects a bit.
I mean, yeah, Final Dance, they invested the copy of God of Mischief out of the range of Heartbreaker. So unlike Closer, who had the God of Mischief drained before they could go for the copy on the Gambit, Final Dance already had that Gambit copy ready to go for the Royal Flush to be able to match with the Heartbreaker. And now, last fight territory, End Song Inferno invested in a low-hanging room. But Esports, though, able to survive. They had an Endsong Inferno themselves, as well as the regeneration domain to fall back onto. And with Final Dance dealt with on the high ground, they can now pile over onto that point, find the flip, and try and get ready to position around Winnie's Gambit ultimate, as it is going to be a case of who takes first turn. Gambit ult is up for Winnie, but Closer is going to have the God of Mischief copy to simulate one of their own.
Yeah, you've got this window now for FUT Esports to not only look at what ultimates are going to be available for them and also maybe on their opponent's side. You've got Ballas that switched away from the Daredevil to go for something a little bit more CC focused. Royal Flush is going to be used on the side of Final Dance. They're going to be the ones that are hot stepping their way in, but Closer is going to match it. He knows the foot pattern and the Psylocke. The Final Dance is going up against the Dance of the Butterflies, and it is only that one pick onto Ballas. Heartbreaker and the stuns are going to be a little bit more precarious for FUT Esports to deal with, but to be honest, they're all grouped up, happy to take this fight. It's going to open up now as the main pillar in the center of the objective is going to drop down. But Sloppo has so much freedom. He's got so much space now made up from his Silent Seduction. It's a pull away for Smashdays. He tries to dash out, but he's not going to be able to do it. It does give a chance for Final Dance to come in with a portal. For FUT Esports, they stop the music and take the first point.
Oh, the timing as well of the Loki ultimate. Like, I worried for a moment whether it was too early and Final Dance would just disengage it, but it's actually so smart. They use the copy of God of Mischief, and then Closer has that window to be able to activate the Raging Royal Flush after he's gone for the copy of the Gambit. They hold off until they hear Final Dance go for Winnie's own ultimate to try and mirror it. But in that meantime, Demon was actually able to build up that last percentage to hit Dance of the Butterflies, and the Psylocke ultimate, that movement speed that is granted to the players affected by Raging Royal Flush, actually carries over to the Psylocke in terms of the distance that you can cover with your dashes, which is why Demon is able to dispatch both of the Loki doppelgangers, but also take out Ballas, who was the main form of damage in Final Dance's composition. Really smart stuff coming on through from FUT.
Because Ballas switched over towards the Winter Soldier, we haven't seen a Kraken's impact at this stage at all. In fact, he's going to be 50% on it again. For Final Dance, they do have quite a lot of ultimates to make this work. I imagine that it's going to be a quite fast Royal Flush. Maybe they're not suspecting that Zenosta is going to have it available, so Final Dance, having all the information, might want to go for a faster play here, especially when you've got a Silent Seduction from Milk Boy to really set the pace.
Well, Binary is going to be setting the pace. Heartbreaker. Final Dance have to pull a little bit further backwards in anticipation so they can get the copy of the Loki onto that Gambit into the Endsong Inferno. Swappo did hold on to theirs, so we'll have the health reset as well as that Phoenix ultimate to keep the pressure up onto Final Dance, but Milk Boy with the Sonic Seduction. But Esports have nothing to be able to deal with it as they lost the Psylocke before Dance of the Butterflies could be built, and Final Dance were able to take the fight and find the eliminations before Closer could build up to a second cycle of the Raging Royal Flush, which allows Final Dance to put themselves in the driver's seat for the next fight as well, as Ballas has finally been able to build up their Kraken's Infected. Like you said, he gave up 50% of the ultimate charge by swapping over to the Strange previously.
He was able to get 2 picks there. Has a lot to sit back on. I imagine with all of the movement speed and the extra stuff, you're looking Winnie going, please use Royal Flush. Please let me just send myself out a super serum, I guess, from the part of the map. Smashdays finding Demon. Now that's a great pick considering that FUT were looking to try and go in on this fight. They went for the copy on the Royal Flush from Closer, but they've lost 2 players already. Kraken's Impact is going to be used as well as the Gambit Ultimate on the other side. And Ballas is like, thank you, Winnie. And they win out the fight again.
Not just that, but it was free as well. You didn't have to worry about Closer's activation of Raging Royal Flush and the Purify that it brings with it, actually being able to cleanse the culling aura of the Kraken Impact. So Ballas' feet barely touch the ground when he's able to just move from Loki clone to actual player. As FUT Esports have one more chance really of trying to take a full regroup fight. Do they decide to take it fast, or do they wait for Snos to have that Gambit ultimate? They're going to go first and fast, unfortunately, because they're going at the beginning. And it's all the resources are baited out by the Psylocke ultimate. And then the Endsong Inferno is able to come on through with the punishment. The bait and switch. FUT Esports finding the eliminations, still having to deal with Lugia though, trying to stall Final Dance, holding on to that point, potentially long enough for Winnie to be able to set up with the Strange Portal swap, but no. FUT Esports are able to take out the Rogue just in time, and Final Dance is still is denied.
Yeah, it doesn't screw over Final Dance too much here, though. You've still got 90% for Oasis, 40% Winnie. So, you know, the 50% ult charge between them means that they can cycle these out consistently. But Black's out with this position in Silent Seduction. They still need to buy as much time as they possibly can. Force out some of these bigger ultimates or just go for a team wipe. At this rate, Footy Spots are just going to be able to clear up and Final Dance go. We don't dedicate anything. Just go down. It doesn't matter. We can build up some of these ultimates. One good team fight and we're back in this map.
Yeah, Final Dance, because they have the advantage in terms of point percentage, absolutely right. They don't have to commit to taking the ultimate trade there. They can literally just take that last fight dry, force Foot Esports to have to invest to hold on to that space and point percentage, and then Final Dance come through with a better fight afterwards. As Binary, yet again, is going to go on through with that Heartbreaker to drain away all of the ults that Final Dance were looking to hold on to in the fight prior, but he's gone down because Final Dance, they had a God of Mischief copy themselves.
Yeah, Oasis finds so much success there. Footy Spots trying to keep the tempo into their favor, make sure that they're the ones leading this dance, not necessarily Final Dance themselves, but Oasis with one ultimate makes so much of it work. Kraken's impact is just going to slip up and make this a very good fight in the end for Footy Spots. You have to be looking at the portal. Who's going to be the one to switch it over? Black Tower is going to be the one in this engagement. And Final Dance, you can sense that they're keenly aware that it has to be a teleport play.
Oh, Close is going to go in with a very early Loki copy on that Gambit so that no one gets affected and taken down by the Sonic Seduction, since that healing should have been there from the Raging Wolf.
Wow.
Final Dance, they've got a Gambit ultimate themselves, which is just going to be able to stack on top of the tick damage coming on through from the Emma. And Foot Esports, they were there on the point, and then blink and you'll miss it. They're gone the next. Doctor Strange might be the Sorcerer Supreme, but that was Final Dance's magic trick.
We see a little bit more of what Ballast can do over on the Bucky. It was not really much of a good go on that first point. We didn't see any of the Kraken's impact because it was such a late switch away from the Daredevil. But for esports, I don't think they've really changed up much about the compositions outside of obviously going for the likes of a Strange Portal. Outside of the fact that Black Sow was playing the 4 to begin with, now seems to want to try to sort of mirror match up what these Vanguard lines have been, going for the Emma Frost a little bit more. And I think it's been necessary, right? These Silent Seductions are so good at disrupting this just general, very easy cookie cutter ult flow of Gambit ult, Loki to copy the Gambit ult, Gambit ult, Loki to... Yeah, you get the point.
It's the
and I
shields
think...
as well.
Yeah.
Like the Emma Aegis, like Milk Boy's ultimates have been finding so much value because Foot Esports just don't have a stable shield.
Yeah,
For
Magneto.
the team to be able to hide behind, exactly. No Magneto. Remember, all of the Vanguards that got panned out. Which means that the Emma ultimate just finds so much more power, as Damon is going to have yet again this Dance of the Butterflies. But unfortunately for Foot Esports this time, they don't have that same interchangeable play of using the Psylocke ultimate first to force out the resources from Final Dance, then coming on through with the true eliminating blow of the Ensong Inferno, as Sloppo is so far away from it. So we'll have to see if the Psylocke ultimate is going to be able to find value other than just putting pressure and maybe even looking for a solo elimination on one specific person. They got someone low. They're really looking for the last. They know how close that Winter Soldier is going to be to the Kraken impact, and he needs to get taken down now.
They're trying to focus. There's so many clones in the face of Demon. He's doing a really good job to make sure that he's got his eyes on the prize. A few more picks have been found, but Oasis has managed to turn one around on Binary that has been taking an absolute beating on the Rogue, which, like you mentioned, there's not many shields, there's not much mitigation of damage. You just have to take it at face level. And Foot managed to take this third point again off the rip. It didn't matter too much as it was Final Dance that were able to take it on second and hold on to it for the foreseeable future.
You have to be very careful though. You can't hold as far forward as you would in previous metas, because if you do, you risk going down with the use of the Gambit ultimate and the movement speed that it allows these teams. However, for esports, looks like they've been able to disengage it. It was only Blackstar who was so far forward, and he's able to get back to the rest of his team into the waiting care of the Gambit ultimate coming in first from Snoss. But this is what Final Dance were waiting for. The fight has moved on to point, and here comes the Kraken impact. Heartbreaker is going to be overlapped with the Sonic Seduction, so potentially Charm, as well as losing all of those ultimates to be able to react to those Vanguards. The Final Dance are still in play. They have the Ensong Inferno. Milkboy is able to find the elimination onto his mirror, and Smashnez is just an absolute demon on the Jean Grey.
It really feels that FUT Esports have dedicated all of this to just keep this progression going. It didn't feel like it was going to be a fight that went their way. It was just delaying the inevitable to an extent off the back of a royal flush that came in from Zenost. Binary was even quite patient. I thought they were going to use both of those ultimates together, considering that the Rogue and the Gambit are going to be pretty much in sync in how this game plays out. And looking at Final Dance when they went for that aggression, it was those ultimates used together. FUT Esports delaying it to just delay a little bit more time. 67% on the board, but retaking the point, that's been the challenge for them.
I mean, FUT have to go fast before Final Dance can allow Oasis to battery up into a Gambit ultimate to try and mirror FUT Esports opportunities. And they do go fast. Out comes the Raging Royal Flush directly through the Psionic Seduction, which Final Dance tried to employ. And you can see as well, God of Mischief is pulled up as the Loki falls. So FUT Esports timed it perfectly. They went at the exact moment that they needed to have that ultimate advantage.
For Final Dance, majority of this team was playing together under zero tenacity in stage 1. Lugia went over towards Pastures New Advice, but then resurfaced with this squad again. And FUT Esports, mostly the old business team that had a second place finish this time last year, seeing if they can show that they have that experience from previous games and previous forms of not PC. Final Dance, though, it is 99% on the side of FUT Esports. They win the fight out cleanly without over-dedicating some of these big ultimates because they're going to need them here.
I mean, here comes FUT Esports, though. They're going to do what they did last fight. Go first and go fast with one-sided Gambit ultimate, as Winnie is in the exact position that Oasis was before. So, Final Dance, they know how precarious this position is going to be. Bars is so close. Stack back and impact. Final Dance decided to go first, in with that Heartbreaker, but FUT Esports have already got the foot on the gas. They got the Raging Royal Flush off before the Rogue could find the connection into the backline. And FUT Esports have one-sided Gambit ultimate. Final Dance try to hold on to this. They know it's about to go into an overtime fight. Raging Royal Flush invested trying to buy the time for Bars, who gives up Kraken Impact to come back on the Doctor's range. But FUT Esports, the target focus is there. The M is on point. Sloppo is able to control the high ground avenues as well. So Final Dance don't have another play to drop from the high ground onto the point. They have been able to stall it with the Strange and the Loki and the Regeneration Domain to come on through. But this is just clean up on objective for FUT Esports. Final Dance just going to be trying to keep their head above the water as they have no clear win condition to play towards.
They managed to stall it pretty much from 40% to 80%, but the portal was already dedicated. But for Esports, it really isn't going to be a touch for Final Dance off the dance floor. And FUT put one foot in front of the other, take the first map. But it was very much a give and take between both sides, certainly with how they were adjusting through the meta.
I mean, this meta, the identity of it is just working out whether you lose a fight fast to come through with one-sided copy or actual Gambit ultimate, and the pendulum of power that plays out between the two. That's pretty much what it is in terms of reading out how to play that composition. Both of those teams are having to play the dance of point percentage and ultimate charge of the other and time things perfectly. We saw how close it was, right? Where if they didn't have all of the plays specifically targeting down things like the Gambit or the Loki, the Mirror ultimate would come out and that fight plan that they had would have been absolutely scuppered. So it is very much a matter of true precision.
It was only a slight amount more healing from FUT Esports, and I do think that it's the biggest accolade I think to the Psylocke that we've seen so far, because I think this is very quick maths, not the best kind, but it does look like Final Dance did more damage overall. But it's the fact that FUT were a lot more lethal with it, right? Because you have got the Psylocke, she's going to do less damage than just splash damage in as a Jean Grey. You just have to be very good at okay, we're going to take this player from 100 to 0 as quickly as possible. And I think Demon was so good at setting that pace, finding those picks in the backline. But this is looking to be a really good series. We've had a 3-0 already. Don't think we're going to get one here, Moxie. We're going to go for a break to see exactly where Final Dance want to take us for the second part of this BO5.
Trapping all those fighting souls, but yet across the world Across all time, I see you turning the tides. And do you see now our time, our turn? We can still fight like the wind and fire. And wonder no more that now is the only time your heart is mine. Light has fallen, darkness grows, and yes, we fight for our destiny and fate. New days smiling for the past and future. Break those chains, lead the way, fight with me. And when you wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters again, we are rebels till the end. Rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals again until the end of time. Show me that you are still the only one that matters for me. I'll be waiting for you. Wait up, open your hands, holding on to your heart. Look inside you. Can you feel it? The sparks in you. Add it up, unleash it all. Wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters yet again, we are rivals till the end. And rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time.
Hold still. I'm trying to help.
Lights out. Let's pop back up under their noses. Us against the world!
My time to shine.
Welcome back to the action here in EMEA for Marvel Rivals Championship. It's very cold for me and Moxie here in the northeast of England, but the action is keeping us very much heated up, potted up. Any other words that I could use to describe being warm, because God forbid, I would love to be that right now. But these games are at least been fire, and whilst we have seen one best of 5 end fairly quickly, the first one that we saw in these round 10 games, this one I feel, Moxie, now that we're going to Halls of Jalia, might have a bit more to offer.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as well how both of these teams approach the ban draft, especially because, as we saw in the previous series, Hall of Jalia is definitely one of Hell's strongest maps. And we could well actually see both of those teams being okay with letting the Hella through, given that Damon and Smashnaz have both played a Hella historically in the past. As yet again, Black Side's Guru just continues. They're not even strays. It's such a good ban to just remove Black Side from having access to that Vanguard. And this time around, actually, it's going to be the Invis ban coming on through from 30 Esports. So again, targeting out Winnie's hero pool with once more that 4 save. As now we see the Vanguard's coming under pressure. Both of the save slots are going to be attributed to the Vanguards, and Gambit is going to be sent away, which means that Ryan and I don't have to deal with 4 Gambits on a seesaw in terms of those ultimate exchanges.
I don't need to go grab my inhaler just because these fights are just like, they're going backward, and Loki's got the copy. I was going to say that's what my smart intro was, but I completely forgot it. It's like, you know, it was the first time that we saw Gambit and Rogue mirrored on both sides, but that wasn't really the power couple that sprung to our attention. I think it was a bit more Gambit and Loki surprising people. And Magneto actually getting to be involved in this game, but he's unfortunately not going to be alongside the Gambit, which I think is the main switcheroo. The first 3 parts of this draft were the same: the group being banned out, the Invisible Woman, and then the 4 being protected. It is a complete change for Final Dance.
Notable as well that we still have Hela making it through, unless Split Esports burn a ban on it here. And indeed, yep, there it goes, as Hela and Phoenix
You'll need a
just
top-notch team
too
to win
harsh
this one.
a crossfire, even if you go for something like the Star-Lord, because again, their positions are played entirely separately. The Star-Lord doesn't have the opportunity of being able to collapse after both, and the bans being mirrored as well. If FUT Esports wanted to play to the tempo of Hela for Damon, they would open themselves up to potentially having to deal with Ballas on the Psylocke, the way that Insomnia tried to deal with the Hela previously. But I think for Ballas, it's not going to be the Psylocke that we're likely to see, because the Winter Soldier has been so effective for him, as he's very much one of those duelist heroes to keep your eye on, both from 2025 but also moving into 2026, where I'm sure he's going to be having an absolute bidding war to get picked up by a team.
Yeah, I think so. Like, he was a sort of pretty shortlisted spot, I think, for Al Qadsiya. He seemed to just sort of come in from nowhere, and then from the MRC that we saw him playing, very easily, very quickly, you realized, yeah, this guy is pretty good, pretty damn good as well, to sort of build out this team. So it's no surprise that him and Milkboy have stayed together to duo up, and then going along with the FaZe core, certainly the strategist backline, to just make this team a little bit more solid in the end. Daredevil, again, not being in the draft at all, either as a protect or a ban, but I think with these kind of compositions and the way that both teams are playing him, certainly the map, doesn't feel like we're going to really be seeing not Daredevil being played here, right now at least.
This is such a blast from the past. We've got Jeff and Luna? Hold on a minute, are we back to
What meta are we in?
Jeff rework? Jeff flank shenanigans with the Captain America? I mean, it kind of makes sense, because just what, like, Hela is strong on Holo Dejali with just the long, uninterrupted line of sights. Jeff, too, has the reach of healing, where he's going to be able to heal both players in the main core, but also those who go for the dive, with things like, well, I was going to say, Lugia potentially catching a lot of damage as a pinpoint on the thing, but it's actually Milkboy who's going to fall first, and FUT Esports holding a position quite handily against the Vanguard line until now. The haymakers from Lugia finding the connection rates being made for both of these teams, but Esports not wanting to fully commit back into this recontest until they've been able to come moving on forward with the Mantis' Soul Resurgence.
Yeah, Lugia on the thing. I mean, the speed boost from the Jeb is going to help in some of these instances, but I just like how the approach was just go onto the point and start swinging and hope for the best. However, Final Dance, whilst they've made good progression, haven't got 2/3. They've lost out on Oasis in the backline, have lost out on Ensong Inferno, but the pressure is still ongoing. Meteor M and the Soul Resurgence used at the same time, so that extra little bit is going to catch Winnie that was trying to scarper with the little shark tail between the legs. Not quite enough. A full reset is going to be required as Lugia is looking to leap into the abyss. FUT Esports hold on, 52% grabbed up from Final Dance, however.
Yeah, Ballas is going to have that Kraken impact though, and Lugia does have the clobbering time to set the ground in motion for the Kraken impact to be able to find a connection before Closer is able to react and come on through with the Fate of Pokeballs to heal it. So for Esports, they could potentially decide to go proactively here, and it looks like they are. Binary's going to be hitting that back line to try and force Ballas to have to turn and peel the Venom, but Ballas doesn't care. This is what we talked about with soft dive, right? Sometimes you just don't have to give it any form of attention because you know it's just
what a grab.
technique. Out comes the ball, just in time for Blackside to be able to save Demon from, like you said, such a good bionic hook coming on through from Ballas, but unfortunately the Kraken impact was also invested. The face of the Lunar ultimate doesn't find the eliminations. The Final Dance have to rely on the Mantis ultimate to push them forward into FUT Esports regroup space.
They're starting to lose out on the players. Demon with the happy holidays of Ballas and being like, it's January 4th, shut up, with the great pull, but like you mentioned, there wasn't too much else to like follow up on. But the point has been taken in the end. FUT Esports buying a little bit more time when it looked like Final Dance had enough pressure to put in onto this spot. I'm wondering if they're going to continue on with a thing to push up here, but it's like you've got the picks, you've got the movement. Immediately Final Dance are like, we need to take this high ground space, certainly away from Demon and Binary that are looking to try and use this high ground alongside Sloppo.
Binary is going to actually go off of the Venom because he's seen Final Dance again, just not paying any form of attention to the Venom, understanding he's going to be in and then out, even if Final Dance don't commit any form of resources to chase him out faster. And now we get both of these Phoenixes more than happy to stay forward aggressively with the Ensong Inferno if they get pressured down to the health bar. Smashnerz is able to connect and prevent that Solar Resurgence coming on out from Znos, but for esports now they've got the combo. Out comes the Meteor M and the Ensong Inferno, and away goes Final Dance's players. Damon gets the Magneto Bulwark to just continue applying that pressure on the chase down, continue building up to that Galactic Legend. The Final Dance don't have a Strategist ultimate or the Meteor M to be able to heal through it, so feels like they're going to be going fast into another fight afterwards.
There's good composure from FUT Esports. They lose out on Znost and start to panic. Bear in mind, it is just a 2-2-2 setup. We're used to seeing Mantis in triple strategist, not quite here. So they're able to still go for the coordination play, get some picks, and allow FUT Esports to recuperate on its defense. Final Dance, like you just mentioned, Moxie, wanting to set this tempo up. They have a lot more ultimates to work with. And Ballas, right, seeing if he can farm up anybody going to go low that he might be able to finish off very quickly. But these angles are just too annoying and too easy to isolate from the high ground. Soul Resurgence is going to allow the rest of this push-up. And you've got the clobbering time in the hands of Lugia, but it's whether he's going to have a good chance to use it. Fate of both worlds being dedicated. It feels the Final Dance have to go in now. And FUT Esports, up until Slowpoke goes down, doing really well to just hold on for dear life for all of it.
Yeah, but Final Dance also doing a very good job of cycling through their ultimates on a budget. They've still got the Meteor M and the Ensong Inferno to be able to control FUT Esports' closest spawns, which means that they can use the Meteor M alongside the Ensong Inferno to absorb the Galactic Legend pressure coming through from Damon. Blackstar has to use the Meteor M to get FUT Esports through the door, and what a dunk! He gets both strategists with the Meteor, and Final Dance, their chances of being able to take second off of that push just got sunk.
Smashnerz stalled out a little bit. Feels a little bit of a bullying strategy, but it's bought up like 15 more seconds in of itself. And when you've got Final Dance only having 1 minute left to go, the objective very close to the checkpoint, but on the other side of this great monolith that we're seeing FUT Esports play from. And if Slopper's just going to take out Winnie, it's going to buy even more time. That's why FUT Esports are trying to put their boot down onto the throats of Final Dance. They have to back off entirely. And Ballas, there might be a window to go for a flank here, but he's just completely giving it up. He knows that if he goes down, this is where it's going to stop on their attack.
It's going to be so hard as well to get the Psylocke through those flanks undetected, because both the Star-Lord and the Phoenix are going to be looking to see if they can catch where that Psylocke is going to rotate to. So Glass instead actually goes with the main core, is looking to try and build up this dance of the butterflies as quick as possible. Now the main core is able to actually make an inroad so far into the back line that it forces Fate of both worlds coming on through from closer early. And Final Dance, they've still got time before overtime hits. They can actually afford to disengage the situation, wait the Lunar Ultimate to be out, but they lose the Phoenix before Ensong Inferno can be built up. Smashnerz doesn't get the opportunity of using the ultimate to reset the health pool in the 1 versus 1, and Final Dance now don't have the Phoenix to be able to control the high ground and pressure FUT Esports on the low.
And Blackstar holding on. He's already used the Bulwark on himself. Used it on Demon to clear up the high ground with good amount of success. And he's going to maybe want to give it over to Demon in a second as the Galactic Legend is available. Meteor M is going to come straight out, right into the center on a Fate of both worlds, ulting Oasis. It's dried out completely from Final Dance's attacking side, even with the portal dedicated and thrown in. It was a grand old finish from Blackstar that had some terrific impact with those ultimates and gives Demon the skies to control on that defense.
I mean, FUT Esports just did such a good job where they understood the conditions of the fight. The moment that they got forced, their closer was having to invest the Fate of both worlds from just pressure alone of both the Thing and the Psylocke. They knew within those 10 seconds they had to find an elimination on a crucial player of Final Dance's composition, and they hit the golden ticket by managing to catch that Phoenix and forcing Smashnerz actually to have to give up Ensong Inferno to come back on the Doctor's range, which means that lacking all of that damage, lacking elimination potential, even through FUT Esports numbers, and they can hold on. Really good turnarounds coming on through from FUT, where it looked a little bit rough when we were seeing Binary originally on that Venom.
Wasn't really much of a tenure on there in the end. He's going to maybe go over towards D'Angelo, which we've sort of mentioned on a couple of the broadcasts that we've seen from for esports. And certainly when we saw Binary on FaZe, going up against some of those older teammates of Winnie, Lugia, and Oasis.
Well, he was banned out of it as well.
Yeah.
Remember when Final Dance went into the ban draft for map 1, they targeted Black Size Groot, something we're very much accustomed to seeing, but they also went for
And then
Binary's
D'Angelo,
answer.
yeah. You're right.
So-
Spot. And I think that one of the things as well is like the Magneto was banned out from FUT, and that was one of the things that actually was protected very early from Final Dance. And so, yeah, Millboy very comfortable on the Magneto. You know that Black Sour is going to go on to some stuff like Groot or Thor, but the matchup of the Magneto has been pretty stellar. Black Sour showing, again, in the year that we've seen him been playing at the top level, that Vanguard list is building up very nicely.
Now we'll see how FUT Esports have control of these spaces. Sloppo already getting pressured in terms of the health of that. Wait a minute. Bridge wasn't broken. Okay, it's broken now. FUT Esports was still able to actually get players past. And that does mean that Final Dance had to now send Lugia to control that space. And D'Angelo goes low. D'Angelo having to play that position now clears up spaces in other positions. Though the turnaround is good, Final Dance return with attention onto Binary. So FUT Esports not actually able to convert all that much. On terms of the point, they still have a really good position from the high ground to start building up these ultimates. They have the confidence actually to drop from the high ground to the low ground, which symbolizes them wanting to take that fight. And they do so in style. Smashner's removed. No Star-Lord. Damon is unleashed.
Yeah, he's been synergizing so well with actually some of the older players that were on this FUT roster. The old business sort of regroup after dropping a couple of players, or at least changed it around with Tuesday going elsewhere. So FUT Esports now still able to get just shy of 2/3 in the end. But every time I see some of this more offensive capability from Final Dance coming out, there's a little purple shield that goes onto one of the players in the end. Galactic Legend for Demon, it is in hand, but you've already lost 4 of your teammates. You can hold on. You've forced out quite a lot. Ensong Inferno and that Soul Resurgence from Oasis. The problem, however, is that there's 2 other ultimates available. One that's about to be here in the hands of Lugia. And Smash there's 50% of having another Galactic Legend.
FUT Esports wanted to take that fight potentially very quickly too. Binary actually swapped onto the Venom when he got taken out. So you can see that they probably wanted to play the numbers advantage after Final Dance had been burnt out of that Strange Portal cooldown. Denied the opportunity, however, with the Ensong Inferno invested from Balas. And now, the Final Dance, it doesn't matter that they use the Mantis ultimate, they've got the Magneto and the Lunas to be able to counterplay Daemons. As Black Star is going to have to hold on to the Meteor M in anticipation of Smash Nezers.
Sloppo is getting chased out. It's turned into a little bit of a horror film, but he is a cosmic entity, and he just somehow manages to turn a little opportunity into a wide open window to take this first point. You've got just a little bit less than 90 seconds for FUT Esports to carry on with a good defense. You still need to be able to try and match the positioning that Final Dance got with their payload on the attack. Meteor M and the Galactic Legend both used in quick succession to try to take out and wipe out FUT Esports yet again. Just as seems that FUT Esports managed to find themselves an opening with Sloppo, Final Dance used everything that they had to stop it.
Yeah, now they don't have anything to prevent this Galactic Legend other than a pick early on from Baz, who does exactly what is required of him. Snoss was so close to having the Soul Resurgence to push FUT Esports forward, and then they could use Galactic Legend for the eliminations and Heaven's Retribution from Binary to control Final Dance's recontest and allow them to pick up those 2 bits of the point. But that pick from the Phoenix just slowed everything down. It's allowed Final Dance to actually start regenerating ultimate charge of their own. Oasis is going to have an ultimate to be able to sustain for Demon's ult.
I know sort of in the meta scene, those picks are usually referred to as magic picks, but they're cosmic picks because I feel it is just always the Jean Grey that's the one that's grabbing them. You've got a Galactic Legend front up in the sky, and there's not really too much to block it. No Meteor M that's going to absorb it, but still Demon does get taken down. So one of the main proponents for FUT Esports actually pushing and making this attacking side match as good as their defense is pretty much gone. Demon has to switch over towards the Strange to go for the portal play, but they're starting to build up the numbers. Everybody else has managed to show up, and they still have that Ensong Inferno in hand. It's just been enough steam. Whilst Demon did get the picks that he got taken down, it forced out whatever was left from Final Dance, which wasn't much, and the rest of the team cleaned up house as a result.
Lugia unfortunately not able to stall point long enough for a portal swap to come on through from Final Dance's side. As I think actually we saw temporarily a storm come through. So I guess Final Dance probably wanted to use the movement speed to try and get everybody through the portal faster. Smashnez is going to have, however, that Galactic Legend, they'll give it, well, one more moment, and Blackstar will have the Meteor Amp to be able to absorb it, so Final Dance won't be able to use that as an opener. They will be able to use that elimination, however. Binary gets taken down in the Angela dogfight on the side lane, and now the Angela is free to roam the skies and put the pressure on the Star-Lord from Demon.
It really did take some more mitigation to keep him alive in the end. So now Meteor M is going to try to be used whilst Lugia goes in with the Heaven's Retribution. The metal shatters the approach as Winnie was caught in a crossfire to go for the offensive hold on it. And now for Esports with this player advantage, seeing if they can sort of spin around this spire, try to take the high ground, and the end song catching people out of the engagement for Final Dance. They're trying to make it a bit of a hot step off of the objective to regroup. But for Esports, too in control, too much of an entanglement, able to start to spring things up. There's only 20 meters left.
Yeah, one more fight. Final Dance do have ultimate advantage at the moment, but if they're not careful, Foot Esports are just going to take the initiative away from them. Out comes the Heaven's Retribution, but Smashnez had already taken a different rotation and cuts the backline with a scathing Galactic Legend before anyone can react to the setup from Binary using the Heaven's Retribution to try and stall out Final Dance's push from the front. Great read from the Star-Lord.
I imagine Foot are now sort of sitting, which like we saw a lot in the last map. Okay, we've got some big ultimates out of them. We have got a Galactic Legend. Is there going to be a Meteor M in the response? Might have that to work with, as well as a couple more strategist ultimates, but you've got Soul Resurgences used on the other side. So Nost versus Oasis, who's going to find more dividends with this approach? It might be the picks of the Angelas that both have pulled themselves around the main objective. Meteor M, seeing if he can get the slam down onto Zenost. He's taken down just as the Soul Resurgence was used. Galactic Legend no longer waiting to see if they can combine with it. And again, that's the Blacks Out being able to put the Bulwark on to allow Demon to just get in with the combo to sort of slip on the way through. Overtime is being hit. Everybody's back into this engagement, but one of the Vanguards has already gone down. The Angela isn't going to be in play. And now seeing if they can make this 2 maps, a 2-0 lead in this best of 5, managing to take out a little bit more. And whilst the time was pushed and whilst Final Dance seemed to be making this a good defense, Foot able to bring us over the line and take us to a 2-0 lead.
Final Dance prioritizing investing the Meteor M to shut the Mantis ultimate down, and then trying to rely on the Mantis ultimate, which they didn't want to use to mirror Nost's, to heal through the Galactic Legend, didn't get the opportunity to be able to really take the Star-Lord out, and then didn't even have the advantage in terms of the sustained fight too, because Foot still were holding on to the fate of both worlds coming on out from closer, which actually meant that even though Demon was just absolutely hoarded with resources coming on through from Blackstone on that Magneto with the Bulwark to make sure that the Star Ultimate found the maximum amount of value, even if the bubble was broken, the Dream still wouldn't be popped, as Closer's Ultimate would be able to outlast every bit of sustained Final Dance had. And then since Meteor M was invested on the Mantis, they didn't have the combination with the end song Inferno and Belastes there, so a little bit of interesting reactions coming on through from Final Dance. You can really see that they wanted to shut down that Mantis ultimate just in case Foot Esports used it to transcend past the front line and put more pressure on the back line and split the team's attention, so that if they had to turn around and peel, they gave up presence on the objective itself and lost the map off of just distance alone. But Esports doing a very good job of putting them into a position where they have to make that call, as we'll see whether or not Foot Esports can continue putting Final Dance in a position where they lose these maps, or if Final Dance will be able to find the turnarounds and continue the series a little bit longer, as we'll be back with map 3 after this break.
Trapping all those fighting souls. on those memories, and yes, across all time I see you turning the tides. And do you see now our time, our turn? We can still fight like the wind and fire, and wonder no more that now is the only time your heart is mine. Light has fallen, darkness grows, and yes, we fight for our destiny and fate. New days smiling for the past and future. Break those chains, lead the way, fight with me. And when you wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters again, we are rebels till the end. Rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers, no one can stop us. We are rivals again until the end of time. Show me that you are still the only one that matters for me. I'll be waiting for you. Wait up, open your hands, holding on to your heart. Look inside you. Can you feel it? The sparks in you. Add it up, unleash it all. Wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rift splinters yet again, we are rivals to the end. And rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers, no one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time.
Hold still. I'm trying to help.
Lights out. Let's pop back up under their noses. Us against the world!
My time to shine.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Marvel Rivals Season 5 EMEA Championship, where we're in the middle of a match between Foot Esports and Final Dance. I say in the middle, we're actually match point away currently, as Foot Esports are 2-0 up against their opponent, Ryan. And Final Dance, they decide to take us to another convergence map. It being MLC, we don't have to wait for all of the map types to cycle through before these teams can pick the same one. Which means that we go from Hall of Dejalia directly over to Central Park, which I imagine means that we're going to see a continuation of the trend of the Groot instant ban against poor Black South.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the protect onto the floor. We were talking a little bit about it before we started, and it just feels like, just if you're going to protect something that you want to be comfortable on, make sure that it's something that other teams don't really play. And that sort of happened in the last game, right? The Final Dance, they banned out the the Angela in their second attempt, and Foot actually took out the Magneto. But there, when it gets protected by Final Dance, Black Star was clearly like, yeah, I'll just play it as well. And I'll actually have a lot of big impacts, both with ultimates, with the utility, and just lead in the line. Because when that Magneto wasn't in play in that first map, both teams were just taking way too much damage. It is going to be protected here again. The draft looking near enough identical of what we saw in Halls of Jelly, which makes sense. It's Convergence 2.
Yeah, there goes the Loki, there goes the Gambit. I mean, Final Dance definitely got the shorter end of the stick when it came to the Gambit versus Loki mirror matchup on Hell's Heaven, so not surprised to see them remove it from play here. as we're waiting to see what Foot Esports use for their second save. Something to note as well is that it's not just Foot Esports who are happy to play the fort. Lugia has been a very much person on a soapbox to try and get full playtime all of last year, as Final Dance will be able to actually confirm the Hela pickup coming on out. Now, is this then going to lead into an Angela ban so that your duelist doesn't get immediately cleared by a flying Vanguard, who is an absolute menace in the sky for the Hela to have to deal with, as the Hela is going to have her hands full trying to keep the Star-Lord in check, and indeed the rocket ban is going to weaken the Star-Lord when he does commit against that Hela, because the Star-Lord loses the teleportation team.
Actually, so the draft is essentially all of the same other than that Hela Protect, because it was a Jean Grey before. But obviously protecting the Hela means that Foot's instant response is going to be, we need to get rid of the Namor to stop this double hit scan. So there is the freedom for Final Dance of two very good hit scan players of Smash Days and Ballas to go Hela and Jean Grey. It's not really a choice for them, and Foot Esports have to let the Jean Grey slide through. Like I said, it was protected before from Final Dance, and then Foot removed the Hela. So you're not going to play the Namor if you can't have the Hela as well, right? So Final Dance making a quick pivot in the end of this draft that might actually provide a lot more for Smash Days and Ballas to work with. Foot Esports trying to see, maybe Demon is like, ooh, playing a bit Hela would be nice, but on this defense they're going to go for the Anna Warlock triple strategist play, which we haven't seen too much without the Invis or the Loki or the Gambit, but they're going to make it work here.
Yeah, I mean, if you go for defensive Hela and you're up against a Hela Phoenix Crossfire with an Angela to be able to just instantly clear you off of those high ground isolated positions, you're not going to last long. So Foot Esports are actually going for a much more defensive fielded composition, where they're just going to be able to sustain through the sheer amount of damage with the shields that the Magneto and the Emma can use to block off both angles that the Hela and Phoenix control. Then you have the spam pressure of the Atom with that Mantis damage boost and the Soul Bomb to contain the walk-up aggression from the attacker side in that first fight. As we can actually see, Lugia was thinking about going for the Angela and sees that there's no one isolated, no one to be able to clear off the high ground, and goes back to spawn and goes over to the Thing instead. But unfortunately for Lugia, here's the thing about the Thing. You're a pincushion against the spam damage that is Demon on this Adam Warlock, so Final Dance can't just walk up and knock on the front door. They've got to wrap around and take these high ground rotations first instead.
Sloppo playing the Magneto gets the connection onto Winnie, which is going to just slow things down a little bit more. Lugia needs to be very careful as he's gone down to 20-ish HP. Sprung back up in the end. Final Dance had a good first point take on Jalia. Wasn't really all the way down to overtime, but it was just the second point really started to slow things down. Xenos taking a lot of damage from various angles and has the back rooms to escape to if he needs to. Seems that that's been the case. He gets chased down, and it's already nice progression for Final Dance to be making. As Foot Esports are just losing their players bit by bit. You've got the Carbon Crush, but there's too many plays in around Final Dance. The Black Cell can't quite get comfortable.
Damon already gonna be retreating to the backside of point, setting up the Karmic Revival cast, which actually catches Nos in the revival.
Right at the end,
window.
yeah.
So Mantis brought back just before the respawn can be completed. So damage boost as well as the pressure of that Soul Resurgence to run for these spots a little bit closer forward. And Final Dance denied an opportunity of taking a proactive numbers fight by both the Res and the Strange Portal. Because for these sports, going to be pushing out from point with the Emma into the Lunar Ultimate. So Final Dance lose all of the space that they had before.
The Cloven Time is going to be used, and the Meteor M for Milboy to see if it can use the CC well. It's going to be actually copied over on both sides. The Slowpoke is going to throw it out at the same time. Soul Resurgence again, mapped to keep things even with these ults. Smash Nez is the only one that has something up and available with the Goddess of Death, and Binary that had to switch over towards the Strange to go for this portal play for the defense to hold on. It's starting to lose the point again. Eye of Agamotto would be handy. You could see just how much the Foot are actually trying to regroup, use this shield to their favor, but Binary with that ult actually is the first one to go down. It's another pickup from Ballas with this end song Inferno, and it's not enough time for Demon to build up the Karmic Revival. The point's being taken. Life Cocoon's even going to be used, and it's probably going to be reset to send him straight back to spawn. And the point is going to start moving on forward for Final Dance again.
Yeah, Final Dance are just able to position perfectly in anticipation of FUT Esports using those ultimates to break from behind point back onto it. And then Binary, unfortunately, just isn't far enough forward to be able to levitate up with the cape and shield with the Seraphim shield off the Goddess of Death pressure coming on through from Smashness' ultimate, so the Heller actually doesn't get burnt out immediately. As Final Dance are immediately going to be having to contest FUT Esports for control of first corner on second, a position that so many defenders look to be able to use, taking possession of to win that first fight out, and then really just act as a stalemate for the attacker side to have to break through once more in these retakes. But unfortunately, they just didn't have the positions or the ultimates to take that fight as aggressively as Final Dance were happy to take it.
Demon on the Star-Lord and the Jean Grey for Sloppo going up against Smashness. Really wanted to protect over onto the Hela, gets it in use, and it's not going to be sort of like a mirror matchup. Most of this has been and continues to be, as a Soul Resurgence from Oasis is going to line up with the Heaven's Retribution and the Meteor M, with everybody grouped up, looking to see if it can take down closer mid-ultimate, and it does. Both strategists actually go down as Final Dance have managed to sort of spring some more momentum right at the end of this checkpoint. FUT didn't really seem to get a clean fight at all at second before we end up on third.
I mean, that's just the momentum, right? Final Dance tempered FUT Esports out of being able to stall for time and win fights with possession of the first corner, and then we're able to find those eliminations and ultimates to just out-tempo the defense and go first, with the Angela and Magneto cashing out both of their ultimates in one fell swoop when we went to that fight to control second checkpoint. FUT Esports do still have ultimates left over from the fight that they didn't get to use, however. So Final Dance do have to pay respect to what the defenders can do to stall out the momentum entirely if they overextend into third, which is why we can actually see Smashness pushing all the way into the backline, looking for one of those magic picks to try and even the score in terms of eliminations, but he's denied the opportunity. He's taken out before he can board the Goddess of Death to be able to get himself out of that hot water, and FUT Esports finally slow Final Dance's momentum down to a simmer.
Managed to hold on without having to dedicate much on this defense ultimates wise. You had the 3 available to them that are lit up on the left hand side of your screen pretty much since they lost that fight over on the second checkpoint. It has just been the sort of spam damage that Slowpo has been able to actually throw out, and he's found himself another pick onto Smashness, just in the neutral, showing so much success on the Jean Grey. I mean, it's a pretty good indictment of why she's been the most popular duelist in play so far today, when it can just completely shut down Final Dance without any major dedications, just a couple of nice left clicks.
I mean, it's also so awkward for Final Dance to have to try and challenge in these spaces, because like Smashness and Bars are really, other than Lugia, go the only 2 who can try and contest those spaces that the Phoenix holds. But if they do try and challenge it, they go directly into a Phoenix who's already got the read of the situation and your positions, and pre-firing with the 12% damage boost. Now Smashness though manages to find the position, taking out Binary, so the Angela being removed means that the Heller is going to have a lot less pressure turned onto her. But esports have to instead rely on sustainability. Out comes the Soul Resurgence, looking to just live, but they take the fight a little bit too close to Staircase. And Luger is able to pin closer right off of the map, and the chances of using Creative Protocols to heal FUT Esports through the fight go off the map alongside her.
Able to just keep things going after a small intermittent break. Now Smashness aura farming a little bit, but also seeing if you can scout out the information for free. Whilst there's more focus going into these like horizontal fights, he's using the lateral, and Ballas has slammed himself down onto free. Just as FUT were looking to try and regroup into this one, Ballas absolutely puts a full stop at the end of this map. Surely there's no chance for FUT to be able to touch after this, but that just seemed to come out of absolutely nowhere from Ballas.
Yeah, the aura farm from the Hela, but also just walking to try and disguise some of the sign cues of the stilettos on the stones that FUT Esports don't look up and scout out the Hela's position. And then, yeah, just the slam dunk. Endsong Inferno, Meteor, it's the combination that we've seen overrun the esports scene since mid-season, all the way back in summer of 2025, and it is still just as devastating as it was back then, as there's no way of preventing it. If the Endsong Inferno slams down, you lose all of the shielding, which would be able to block out the impact of the Meteor M. It's such a good synergy between these two characters.
easy finish, I think, in the end, right? But FUT Esports now seem to have had a good hold of everything, and I guess whilst they were still adjusting, there wasn't really too much of a response. Certainly when you have some of the bigger strategists taken out in the drafts that we've seen in this series so far, yeah, you're not going to really have all that much to work with the OG Season 0 backline support of Luna Snow and Mantis. I think it's just a little bit too much to ask for. But now Final Dance need to make sure that this defense works for a chance to continue on in the upper bracket, or whether FUT Esports are going to take this in a 3-0 fashion, and we'll see them in action next week potentially.
Final Dance are going to be a little bit more vulnerable, as they've actually gone for a duelist setup rather than the 3-3 Vanguard and Strategist. But that does mean that the pick potential from Smashness and Bass is absolutely sky high.
Fastball.
Damon, like you said, gonna be on that Wolverine, potentially looking for a fastball opening to be able to put the pressure onto Final Dance's isolated players almost immediately. Unfortunately, the building actually works against them as the DIY comes into play. There's the fastball, and the thing just jumping after his Wolverine to give the damage reduction and put the pressure on the things that could have poked for these with squishies when they commit from main into the side of point.
I mean, it was just a nice little play to sort of hop up, but the back line from Final Dance pretty much in sync with holding on, and so much damage was done to Binary that would have maybe deterred him, but it also sets up the batteries well nicely from closer and Zanos. But Zanos goes down. There's too much burst damage of Milk Boy getting these fully charged right clicks out. He's got the Wolverine that he's just farming up some of these bulwarks off of, but there's only so much you could do. The attrition is always going to go in favor of Wolverine. He always wants it a little bit more, and Demon, somebody that we've known has been great on this Wolverine since Ignite Stage 1 for Insomnia, I think it was, is showing that it's still going to be good on this first point, and even catches Lugia on the way out, sent straight to the ground and back to spawn.
I mean, we said the Hela and Phoenix would be potentially more vulnerable, and that's what happens when you don't have that poke set up to make FUT Esports have to pause. You don't get the opportunity of building up the Strategist ultimates to play the recontest. As now, Final Dance actually flipping the map, trying to go all the way around the back and catch FUT Esports as they come out from Castle, potentially wanting to see if they could catch the back line, lacking when the front line was pushing up to try and take the more traditional fight around corner. But the turnaround is good. FUT Esports are able to pivot. BlackStar had that defensive Meteor M to be able to find punishment against Final Dance's aggression. And this is just snowballing out of the defense's hands.
It's sort of very similar to how Final Dance's attack went, but I think this next fight is going to be the main difference maker, because FUT have to, even though they've got 4 minutes on the clock, I feel that they do have to kind of match that Final Dance won this fight just before second checkpoint so quickly and cleanly. Didn't really give the defense of FUT Esports a chance. But the fastball is looking to go in. Unfortunately, Binary on when his left arm is about to swing, gets caught out by the right-hand side of Milk Boy. And trying to see if this Wolverine, even though he's been a complete pest, has to use up some of that resilience. Not going to survive too much longer for this world. And FUT Esports, all of that momentum that they just built up, Moxie, dissipated in an instant off the back of Milk Boy finding 2.
FUT Esports are corner locked as well, which is the worst position for an attacker side to be. Over on Central Park is Final Dance. Look at the mobility that they have as well. Like FUT Esports, they're going to have to wrap around. They can't just walk out around that corner, but that means that they have no one to be able to get on top of Balsa's position, especially with Lugia go literally flying in front of his Phoenix, playing Get Down, Mr. President. And also stand from Damon, who has had enough of the Angela's shenanigans, taking out Lugia go, but not removing the threat of both the Phoenix and the combinations power alongside that Magneto. So FUT Esports can still lose the fight if they're not careful. The fastball special being sent in, putting pressure onto Ballas, but Oasis immediately stepping in with the Soul Resurgence to keep the Phoenix intact, and Ensong Inferno ready to power that Magneto. Here it comes. Is it going to be able to land as FUT Esports try and do the same thing? Slopper is able to find the connection on the backline onto Winnie, but the follow-up Meteor just isn't there.
Yeah, BlackSow has to really worry about the damage that's been done on his side, but also that Smashness moving over towards the Starload at the start of the second point. It's not going to be contested on the other side, which means that Milk Boy and Ballas do have the freedom to keep making that play. The Demon, he's also taking out Lugia, is going to be the one that's actually going to just make sure that he can't get too much more success after the attack of that first point. But 2 minutes and 20, still FUT have a lot of time, but they have a pretty harsh bank to try and hit the end of the map with. The portal is even going to be dedicated from Ballast because they know that if they can make more time here, it's only going to benefit them towards the fact that we get into Count Dracula's little estate here in Central Park.
Clobbering time comes out as Binary says, get off my lawn, get off my main route. Final dance though, they don't have ultimates to stand up to the last stand, and that should be the last of this contest. It's just dealing with this Angela who's just an absolute menace. Now the Star-Lord steps up to the plate as well, all in an effort to stall for these books and make them pop with as many ultimates as possible so that they just lose that potential of pushing even further forward into third. Sloppo, however, held on to Ensong Inferno. Black Tower is about to hit Meteoram, which means that for these books, they don't have to give any form of respect or any distance between themselves and Final Dance. They have to stay on top of these positions as well, because if they give up too much, Smashnez, who swapped onto the Hella, is going to be looking for those opening eliminations for the defenders to stabilize around.
There's a combination from Foot this time. It's not going to quite match what Ballast was doing before, and Smashnez moving away back from the Star-Lord means that Black Star doesn't need to worry about absorbing a Galactic Legend. The Smashnez with the Hella is going to actually find that first pickup onto Slowpoke that's trying to reset, take a little bit more of this high ground so you don't have this clear advantage for the Goddess of Death. Meanwhile, Demon is happy to take Milk Boy away with him. I feel like everything that Demon has done so far has felt very personal against Final Dance. And that's considering that they're 2-0 up in the series. Final Dance putting up a good fight on this defense with 2 minutes to hold, seeing if they can pull at least one of their map picks back in favor.
Oh, the clobbering time as well to prevent these spots from moving forward with the Mantis Soul Resurgence, which is one of the strategist ultimates that just doesn't have CC immunity. And then Final Dance, they can even survive the ultimates that these spots try to pull back.
Hawkeye as
By
well.
meeting that clobbering time with the fate of both worlds, Dame is actually, like you said, over onto that Hawkeye as for esports. Stop farming. Slop was able to land the stuns onto Final Dance, who up on staircase are a little bit too exposed, and the Hawkeye is able to just farm up to the Hunter's side, which now means that everyone from Final Dance without a shield to be able to save themselves is going to be so vulnerable to the burst potential of that duelist. But esports took what looked like a rough situation and found the turnaround. Final Dance now are the ones at the back against the wall. The finish line so close. Soul Resistance invested from Oasis just to get players back onto the point in time, but Closer has the better sustainability coming on through with the fate of both worlds. Has just enough as well to go for the damage amplifier onto Black's ultimate, but Black's actually holds the ult to combine with Slowpoke, and Final Dance still haven't been able to find these eliminations.
And it's a big dedication to go for the portal play now instead of whether it's going to hit overtime. This was for esports trying to finish the map out with this advantage, but it started to teeter towards Final Dance because Smashnez has found himself too. Zenost is going to go down. Demon is going to get cleared up as well up in the sky. Very close to having another ultimate, but this just feels like it's a tough setup now. Foot esports have to do everything by foot if they want to be able to touch, and Foot esports have to Scarper their way. Is there going to be any changes of the characters that they're playing to give a bit more mobility? Yeah, Demon is going to switch over towards the Star-Lord in order to be able to touch. And Lugia has actually been on this Venom. Feast of the Abyss is going to be handy. And they catch Binary even before they can touch the objective.
Yeah, Lugia just body blocks and has the full line of sight from his strategists to be able to live long enough for Feast of the Abyss to be farmed. Ballast just waiting to intercept if anyone gets past the Vanguard line with the Phoenix Stun, all to ensure that no one from Foot Esports is able to get onto that convoy and activate the overtime. And Final Dance breathe a sigh of relief. The duet will continue. We go another map. The 3-0 is denied.
Said that it was going to be a little bit closer now. And sorry, it's the MVP. It's not really seen much of the Venom, I suppose, but at least given Lugia their roses so far.
They're just desserts, you could say.
Yeah, there you go. I knew there was going to be a pun in there somewhere. And it really did feel like it comes down to how the defense for Foot Esports sort of dissipated on just before their second checkpoint. Really was a fast take from Final Dance, considering that Foot Esports took the first objective quite quickly and weren't able to sort of copy the same. But also, even though we've seen that combination a lot, it really did seem that combo of Ballas and Milk Boy with the Meteor M and Song Inferno, the 3K right at the end of their attack. But esports just weren't really ready for it.
I mean, not just that, but like Smashnez, we have to talk about the hits, the eliminations that the Hello was able to pull off in third. because
On the
so
defense, yeah.
often, Final Dance, like on their defense, down ultimate economy, having to be really careful with Foot Esports, really believing that the map win was within their hands to the point that, like you pointed out, they use the Strange Portal before overtime can come into play. And then SmashNez is able to find a flank and find the eliminations and just open up the game for the rest of his team. And that's the power that the Hela brings. When we talked about the ban draft, we said Foot Esports, Demon is known for Hela, but SmashNez is also known for playing Hela. So it's highly likely Final Dance are happy to let that one slip. They save the Hela and it comes through absolutely clutch for them. We'll have to see whether Foot Esports are able to come through and find that change. The answer to the Hela. We'll be back with another map after this short break.
Trapping all those fighting souls, but yet across the world I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, that time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way, come find me. Do you remember who you really are? Show me that you are still the only one for me. I'll be waiting for you. Wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smashing through time walls. Before the rifts winters again, we are rebels till the end. Rise up, open your mind, hold on to your powers. No one can stop us. We are rivals till the end of time. We will flash, no matter where. We will fight, reaching across time and space. 'Cause you are my destiny to the end. You see the dawn, the flames burning brightly, shining on those memories. And yes, across all time I see you turning the tides. And do you see now our time, our turn? We can still fight like the wind and fire. And wonder no more that now is the only time your heart is mine. Light has fallen, darkness grows, and yes, we fight for our destiny and fate. New days smiling for the past and future. Break those chains, lead the way, fight with me. And when you wake up, open your eyes, raising up your fists and smash keeping all those fighting souls, but yet across the world I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. The night has fallen shadows.
2025 has concluded. We would like to thank all the participating teams and the players who delivered top performances over the past year. It's probably time to discuss the plans for next year. This video will share much about the new format, the new ecosystem, and other surprises. In short, welcome to a more professional, mature, and exciting Marvel Rivals Ignite 2026, the inaugural league year of Marvel Rivals. To better balance each region and present more exciting competition, we've made adjustments to the regional distribution for the Professional League in 2026. Specifically, we are merging the Asia and Oceania regions into a single Pacific region. The regions for 2026 will be Americas, EMEA, China, and Pacific. During the group stage, the Asia and Oceania regions will compete independently and face off in the playoff stage. In 2026, there will be 2 regular seasons and 2 international LAN events. A notable addition this year is the preseason before the start of Stage 1. The preseason is not only the debut for these teams, but will also determine the initial seed placements. Additionally, Marvel Rivals Championship will continue to exist throughout this period. Even more exciting changes include the allocation of league spots and promotions. In the 4 regions, online competitions will determine the teams that qualify for the 2 international events. We eagerly anticipate seeing these competitive teams once again. Starting in 2026, in addition to the preseason, the regional league and mid-season finals hosted by Marvel Rivals Ignite will determine whether teams qualify for the grand finals. The final results from Stage 1, the mid-season finals, and Stage 2 will correspond to varying league points allocation. Teams that excel in Stage 2 playoffs or rank highly in the annual league leaderboard will compete for a spot in the grand finals. At the same time, to enhance the competitiveness and accessibility of the league, we are introducing a promotion and relegation system that provides all aspiring teams and players around the world with the opportunity to enter the professional league. Teams can earn champion points through the MRC, enabling them to compete fairly for league spots against the low-ranked league teams. Partner clubs will have limited relegation protection opportunities. Speaking of the MRC, there will be 6 seasons next year. The PC region in Season 6 of the MRC will be the final opportunity to compete for the last spots in each region for 2026 preseason and Stage 1. If your region still has available slots, be sure not to miss out. Starting from Season 7 of the MRC, ongoing participation will enable your team to earn champion points, and the teams with the highest cumulative points will have the opportunity to compete for qualifications for the mid-season and end-of-year promotion leagues. Certainly, the most significant surprise is that in 2026, we will launch a Partner Teams program. With certain teams worldwide to become our partners, we will create partner team bundles, and partner teams will enjoy revenue sharing. We hope that this initiative will encourage comprehensive and healthy development of Marvel Rivals esports ecosystem. Besides the partner team bundles, esport bundles will be launched in a timely manner. At the same time, the annual prize pool will exceed $3 million. Let's see how much you can win. More competitions, more moments of victory. There is so much to look forward to next year. The Ignite events of 2025 were unforgettable, and we can't wait to embark on a new journey with everyone.
Hold still, I'm trying to help.
Lights out. Let's pop back up under their noses. Us against the world!
My time to shine.
We're moving a couple of blocks away in this best of 5 as FUT Esports have decided to just go down. I don't even know if the postcode changes in Manhattan, to be honest, but we'll go to Midtown now actually for some convoy action. Whilst we've seen a little bit more of the convergence in play, FUT don't want to take us to domination. And you sort of raised a good point about the history of this squad, so I'll let you set up, Moxie, why you think that Final Dance might have a little bit more to show.
Yeah, I mean, the problem for the esports back when they played in Ignite Stage 2 was that they would do reasonably well, oftentimes actually taking map 1, but then when it got into the second half and actually came down to closing out series, we went into map 2 and map 3. Things fell a little bit apart. That being said, we didn't get to see all that much of them because, rather unfortunately for them, they met Citadel very early on. But for FUT Esports, coming so close to being able to finish out Central Park to the point that you really do think it's so winnable. You invest that Strange Portal and then being denied both the Strange Portal fight and the fight that comes afterwards, it's going to be tilting. So for these players, it's not just about going into this map and trying to come through with a good ban draft. You also have to hit the full mental reset, which I'm really happy it's not domination, because if you lose the first fight off of still being tilted from the map before, you're never going to be in a good position to actually finish out the series.
It's just that typical, like almost cartoonish, like pew approach when it comes to mental after doing something like that. But so far, it seems that both these teams are looking to try to keep the draft the same, which I think sort of works into FUT's favor.